Hello, and this is Spotlight recorded live here on Grapple Patreon. I'm Benno.
And I'm JP.
And I feel I said off air, JP. It feels like it's been a while since we've recorded together. Have we recorded since I've been back in Bangkok? I'm not sure we even have. We've been all over the world. You've been in Turkey getting hooky shirts. Oh yeah, maybe no. The first night when I got here. First night when I got here, it was with Matty in this room. So maybe unless we did something.
Do you know what it is?
I'm not sure.
Because I watched the weekend show, and obviously Spotlight as well, and so for some reason I've just assumed I've recorded those with you, and I must have seen you in that room, and I haven't. I've just watched you on a phone while pushing around two kids trying to go to sleep in a buggy. Doing that.
It's like that old story I always say when I was speaking to my mum what times. My mate Dave said that about that film. I was like, no, he didn't. Dave Chen off the Filmcast said it. I just heard it on a podcast. That's what it's all about. JP, breaking barriers. We break through the screens. You know, it's a group conversation. Everybody's involved. That's how we do these things. I've got to ask, what's the top you reckon tonight? It looks looks fancy. Bit of lime green going. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know what sport that is.
It's darts. It's a Michael Van Gerwen hooky top. Which I didn't expect. Like, honestly, it was incredible. Like, there was football. We went to a place called, if you go into TikTok and search for Best Bargain Buys Marmaris, you'll see there was a place where we just bought as much hooky gear as we could. They even gave us like a free little fucking suitcase to bring it all back in.
Near the Beachway. I've been to Marmaris. I like Marmaris. Good place.
Oh yeah, it's more Ishmael. So, like, just slightly out of Marmaris, just like a little bit quieter. But we went into we walked into Marmaris. It took about 20 minutes from the hotel. But the hotel we were at was a big family hotel with some of the worst comedy I've ever seen live, including, I'll just throw this out there, including blackface. And that was just like, fuck. Jesus Christ. The context of it was strange. It was about, like, people getting shit on their face. And some bloke, he just did it. He just, like, put a load of, like, this black stuff in this guy's face. Yeah, they were. Like, a lot of this stuff is very much lost in translation. I was like, bloody hell, yeah, to quote Simon on there as well. And then I thought I wouldn't get pissed out there. I did, but yeah, hooky shirts, they've broadened out. They've brightened up. Yeah, exactly. We're just going to move straight past the outlandish.
Where did you stay? I want to know, because I've stayed in Marmaris, and it sounds like similar to where it was. What was your hotel?
A place called Club Julian. Which isn't nothing to do with Ethan Page, sadly.
It didn't have a big slide, because that was the one I stayed in had a big slide. And I was like 25, going up and down it and pushing all the kids out the way. It was great times.
They had two slides. Neither I would say were big. I took Charlie up in one of them a couple of times and he got a bit scared. Even though when I was coming down, I was having to lift him up, all while wearing sunnies at the same time. And then just a like quicker slide. It's like out there in Turkey though, Benno. It's the fucking Wild West. It's like anything goes, like, and I like that. I like that element of sleaze. Massive Celtic area, 2 Celtic pubs nearby, and a Rangers one on what was called Loyalist Beach. And I was like, what the fuck have I walked into? Like, it's.
Did they meet up for a fight on Friday nights or something? Like, what?
There was a lot of there were people who all of a sudden they saw me wearing an Ireland shirt, and then people I'd spoken to, and they just refused to speak to me. And then I'd seen them like wearing loads of Rangers shirts. It was that kind of weird atmosphere. I walked in. It's like, I don't give a shit if you support Rangers. I can talk to you. It's a football thing. But then it was just ridiculous. So yeah, it was kind of like carnage like that, and insanely hot. It reached
Mini the Troubles.
Oh, it was like a very mini the Troubles as well. But you can get some decent. Like, I mean, the football shirt side of it. Absolutely, like they had some of the new Arsenal away tops that had come out the day before. Not good versions, I might add, but decent enough. They had out there as well the day before, so loads of did a lot of Christmas shopping as well while I was out there. Just to, I'll give the game away. My sister's not listening to this. Exactly. Yeah, you'll be mate. All the Everton stuff out there as well. Met some Evertonians as well. Cautiously optimistic about the upcoming season as well. But they were like, yeah, they were. You could see that I talked to them about the stadium, and they were calling it Bramley Moor. I said Hill Dickinson at one point, and they were just like, no,
the Hill Dicko.
Yeah, they were like, don't call it that because it's like is it like a debt collecting agency or something like that?
It's like a solicitor's firm. I think people just think it sounds bad, but it's like it's like wrestling, isn't it? When we say about like Walter versus Gunter, I mean, neither name is good really. If you actually think about it, we just go get used to one. Or Chris Hero is always the one I go to. I feel like if somebody if you didn't associate Goodison Park with Everton, would that sound great? I'm not sure. Hill Dickinson, does it really sound that bad? I don't know. I've gotten over it already. I'm past it.
If you told me there were two players from the Dixie Dean era called Hill and Dickinson, I just
Dixie
named
Dean?
it after them. Well, exactly. Yeah, if they just did that, you'd be like, yeah, that works. That kind of works for me. I'd be fine with it. But yeah, honestly, it was because the Scottish season had kicked off by the time we were out there, and there were people losing their shit, and we were near that Del Boy pub as well, which is the weirdest fucking place on earth. And an Irish pub that had nothing to do with Ireland. Like, literally nothing.
They're all like that there, aren't they? Like you say, Celtic pub, Rangers pub. There was definitely a Liverpool pub when I was out there that I took a picture of outside. Like, it's just, it's got to welcome the people in. It's a bit, to be honest, it's a bit like that in Bangkok. I'm meeting Hamford for a cheeky pint tomorrow afternoon. I ended up letting him pick the venue because, like, the pub's like the centre bit where I'm. You'd actually want to be there, to be honest, because it's the same thing. Like, I was literally stuck in a burger bar the other night after having a few pints, and there was like 15 English lads there, like all fighting over who was next. And I was just sat there thinking, I've come all this way for this. Like, it's just the fucking same everywhere, isn't it? I stay in my lane. I'm trying, like, with being out here in Thailand again. I'm in Bangkok, but I'm in the outskirts, so I think of myself as better than all that. I'm trying to live like the proper local life, JP. I'm getting through like the big problems, like how do I wash my clothes, things like that. How do I get my packages? That was the biggest fucking thing. It's like a game of Jenga. Like, you don't realize when you live in a bit. Like, honestly, I'm in like flat 800, and there's 4 buildings, so like fuck knows how many actual people are in the bit I'm in. And that's the point I was going to say to you about your poolside hijinks were a lot more chill than mine. Because again, I booked this apartment block because it's got a nice pool downstairs, but then you realise there's several thousand people in the building. And to be fair, they don't often use it, but it just feels a bit weird kind of being sat out the pool in front of your neighbours. I'm trying to work out, like, what's the done thing? What are you supposed to do? Like, how are you supposed to get your packages? Like I say, I went down. It was literally like a Royal Rumble to try and fight to get like the one that had your number on it. When the delivery man came. I'm working it all out. I'm getting there slowly though. But yeah, I'm living a proper local life now.
Where does this place rank with the first place in Bangkok and with the place in Vietnam? So where are we on the Benno ranking places out?
I've gone full local here. Like, Vietnam was a little bit like that. Vietnam, to be honest, I was spoiled in Vietnam because Vietnam was actually even cheaper. And now I'm here. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean £2 for a pint? I've been paying 50p. Like, it's like that. Like the touristy bits in the sense. What do you mean a tenner for a Mackey's? Which legitimately it is out here. Like, basically, you get what you pay for, and if you want like your stupid back from home comforts, that's kind of where it is. But this is the most homely I've been. Like I say, this is the most bedded in I've been. This is the most where I've been. Like I say, I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying not to kick off too much. Like I said to Matty on Sunday, I figured out the washing. That's the biggest challenge. When I moved in, one of the big things that was like this. It's like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I'll go into it. One of my favorite like things that when I booked this place, I was like, that's perfect. It had a washing machine in the room. It's weird. Like, I'm sat up here. I've set a proper table up now. Almost knocked my coffee over. Set up a full table here now that I'm here. I've got a little couch in the back. Got a little recording area. But the area in the corner where a desk would go, it's just got a big fucking washing machine in it. And I was like, well, look, that's a positive, I suppose. I can use that when I move in and use it to wash my clothes. Well, came to washing day, JP, went to use it. It's a dryer. It's not a washer. So, like, what? So you have to go downstairs. I have to go to the laundry like a peasant. I have to put in me 40p or whatever it costs, which is not the end of the world. Do all my washing, bring it back upstairs just to put it in the dryer. Why would you buy it? Why is it even here? What's the point of it? Like, I don't understand. Just I guess you could hang them up outside. Although that doesn't seem like it's a done thing. People don't seem to use the funny on rules like that. What goes in the hallway, what goes on the balcony. Like, certain things are allowed, certain things aren't. So maybe that's what it is. But it's the strangest fucking thing. But like, at that point, just it's hot enough. Like, I'm sure it was in Turkey. You can just put the clothes on pretty much 20 minutes after you've washed them.
Mate.
So yeah, I don't really get it. Strange.
Mate, Thailand's got built-in, decent, good drying weather, like, for most of the year. You'd thought they'd fucking embrace
like a
it,
faff.
Yeah.
Why would you set it up?
Feel like a faff. The last thing you need out there is a tumble dryer. And then, obviously, it would be using a fair bit of lecky up as well at the same time. That's, like, washing machine, yes. Dryer is honestly, the ultimate luxury it feels for out there. You don't need it. Like, you don't need it at all. And if somebody said to me, oh, on balcony, you can't hang out your clothes on there. 2-word response, second word off. Like, and that would be
type for that yet, though. Like I say, I'm trying. Like I say, large ginger man trying to fit in, as Simon says in the chat. I am trying to keep my head down, but there's only so much you can do, especially when I'm podcasting here past midnight, late at night today. I'm probably making it a hell of a racket. So it's give and take, I suppose. Just seemed odd, but no, it's sound. There's a 7-Eleven in my building, which I discovered.
That's insane.
It's the 4th building along, but it counts. It's my building. It's part of my complex. So no, living life, JP. It's good stuff.
Mate, it sounds like you're living in one of the buildings out of the Dread film, for God's sakes, which just got all the shops in there. And also as well, non-existent neighbours, which did, I said to you off air, it sounds like you're living next door to the sloth victim out of Seven, who was just strapped to his bed like the perfect tenant. Just a couple of them next
noise.
door.
And that's about it, really. Everyone keeps themselves to themselves. But yeah, sound other than that. Went back to my favourite barber today. That I hadn't seen him in a couple of months. Had a good chat about Liverpool and such as well. So I'm making inroads in the community, JP. But yeah, still jealous of you being out there in Turkey with the fam. It's like a elongated holiday.
Yeah, honestly, mate, you'd have been grand. You'd have been grand with the heat.
Or I'm living in the.
Oh, I don't know if you're breaking up there, Benno, or if it's me. I'm not entirely sure.
There we go.
There we are.
But anyway, on that note, we will move on. But we're glad to have you back, JP. We've missed you from the shows. Obviously, the last while. Obviously, we had on Sunday we had the great Liam LF Doom of Time fame filling in with obviously the Capital. What's called the Capital Combat?
UK Rampage.
UK Rampage 1991. That was the neighbours a bit cutting my internet off. I might have to sort this in post. But yes, we recorded that with Liam on Sunday, which he was perfect for. Obviously, it being it's kind of the worlds of time hitting wrestling. Very very much a lot of crossover there when it comes to Sky TV in the early 90s, and obviously UK and India. I'm betting it was one of your old haunts, was it? The old London Docklands or London Dockland Arena or whatever they called it. It's the original O2, JP. That's why it fits in so well doing a show on that this weekend, obviously with Forbidden Door coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've been outside the Docklands Arena because you could get there, but I never went inside. And this was when they were just starting to do up the Docklands as well, so it was like a weird kind of novelty for it. I mean, Docklands I've been at the museum of Docklands. That's not nothing to fucking write home about. I can tell you that. Did it just to kill some time with the older lads when they were very little as well. But yeah, I have to say, I mean, I've heard the pre-show, which was phenomenal, but I haven't heard the UK Rampage show. But I can't think of a better person to bring on for that than Liam. Liam is just when it comes to tying it all in with the culture of 1991, there's a man who's a fucking absolute expert in that as well. So, just sounds phenomenal.
Oh, it was a killer show. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely give that a listen. And obviously, on top of that, we've got Simon's King of the Mountain show coming at the end of the month. We've got Grapple Lads. We've obviously got all of the pay-per-view coverage coming up this month as well. Forbidden Door, Clash in Paris, I think it's called, JP. We're talking about that later. We'll figure out exactly what that is as we go. And obviously, the big one of the month, the one that's gotten the headline treatment on the graphic, we have the AJ Styles phenomenal show, which we'll be recording this weekend. The Deep Cut. I have finally put the playlist together for anybody who was waiting for it. But it's there. It took me a while. It was a labor of love, JP, to put this thing together. But I think we've got the entire length and breadth of AJ Styles' career covered. Like I said to our patrons, I could have just done 2005 and done 8 matches from that. We could have just done, I guess, 05, 06. We could have just done Samoa Joe, or we could have just done probably Christopher Daniels. Some would say. I wouldn't, because he's a boring cunt, but some would say that. It would be easy to do. We could do a full New Japan one on AJ, couldn't we? So to try and do his full career and do it justice and keep the sickos in check, because at the end of the day, we have still got to do a good podcast, and I can't burn all you guys out too much. Obviously with the homework here to somehow get it in a 3-hour pod. But I think we've done a good job, JP. I think it's going to be a cork of that one coming up this week.
I think you've done a cracking job with that playlist. I think it's a really good sort of length and breadth without going into things that obviously we've done before, like the Unbreakable 3-way and things like that. And the sickos list there's bits of that I do want to dip into, but it's like getting it down into 8 matches is something that's absolutely phenomenal. Would be the word you'd have to use for it. So you've done a phenomenal effort, a phenomenal playlist in there in every sense of the word. So yeah, really looking forward to doing that on Sunday. That sounds like it'll be an absolutely belting show.
Like I say, done my best, covering a bit of NWA Wild, a bit of early ROH, plenty of TNA, bit of New Japan. Suzuki did make the cut, JP, which I know you and me both looking forward to revisiting that one. But again, unfortunately, we are so old. We are covering some matches we reviewed in real time as well. Obviously, Roman Reigns, John Cena in there as well, and a lot of sickos too. The Unbreakable 3-Way did unfortunately not make it. It's on the sickos list, but we've reviewed that twice. I think that's the line in the sand for me. Even a bit of Brit Rest though. Obviously, the match with Jody Slice, Jody Fleisch in FWA seasons beatings. Got a couple of requests on the Discord that we took note of. Even his return to Rev Pro, obviously in 2015, we got included there as well. So yeah, again, he's the he could be the nephew of Forrest Bump, JP. That's what AJ is.
It really is, isn't he? Just having a look through all of the promotions in there as well. And it was like, I mean, there was one thing, it was a conversation you were having about like NWA Wildside. And then you realise that was a big part of the wrestling channel, wasn't it? And there was a whole conversation like in our group chat about this as well. And it was just like, oh yeah, massive part of just like of all of these promotions. And then particularly like, I always think the TNA to New Japan run, because that always felt like a bit, you weren't sure if that was going to work. Because you were like, well, it's AJ Styles out of TNA. This could easily die on its arse. And before you know it, he's fucking IWGP champion and WWE want him. And you're like, oh, okay, this has worked then, isn't it? So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't use the word phenomenal again. That'd just be too bad to start throwing that in. But yeah, going to be absolutely great. Another cracking August lineup, and then I think we're into Dealer's Choice then, aren't we, after that?
We are. There we go. And who knows what might get unveiled on Dealer's Choice. I had a little idea after doing a UK Rampage 91, but we'll see. We'll see what we end up putting together. Matty claims he hasn't thought of it yet, but I'm certain he has. I'm certain this might be the month he finally puts us through Cope and Randy Orton, the playlist, maybe.
I've got it. Yeah, it might be. It might be one of those, which if I'm not the one he chooses the shit one, then I'll be glad. I'll be glad of that. I know what I'm going to choose.
It might be me this time.
You'll get away with it. I won't. It'll be. I've got a good idea of what I want to go with, and I've like, okay, if this works out, then really, I'd love to think you'll be grateful in a number of ways of just going, oh yeah, that's good. So, fingers crossed.
Excited. Wondering what it could be. Top 5 ROH feud, something like that. I was giving Hamlet me top 5 Bangkok Moors. If it turned out I'm just as passionate about Bangkok Moors as I am about 2005 ROH Junior, maybe that'll be my one. Maybe I'll throw that in. Who knows what might be coming in September. But with that in mind, like I say, we've got you back, JP. So excited to get your thoughts on a lot of goings on that have been happening over the last while. And I guess there's only one place to start. I guess there's 2 places to start because we're going to get to the other one in a second. But I don't know. Dust off the catchphrases, JP, as we've got an almighty read a history book story to kick us off this week as we look at some of what's been going on in WWE. And obviously, we'll get your thoughts on the ESPN story. But yeah, broken by our friends over at Post Wrestling and WrestleNomics. That WWE are going to be adding a premium live event. Don't call them a pay-per-view anymore, JP. Pay-per-views are dead. If we learned anything this week, that is what we've learned. Sorry, wrestling fans. But anyhow, we'll get into that. But yeah, apparently the same day, coincidentally, as AEW All Out, WWE currently have a PLE planned in Indianapolis, Indiana, on that being Saturday, September the 20th. Is obviously the date there, and obviously, yeah, as we've known for a while, that is AEW All Out pay-per-view date from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. Obviously, we've had this story play its head a few times, JP, when it comes to WWE running NXT shows, running Evolve shows, finding all kinds of different things to put on opposite and releasing things on Netflix. They'll do anything to distract from an AEW pay-per-view weekend or make it bigger. Listen to me and Matty talk about it to find out my take on that. But yeah, obviously this is a bit different, isn't it? Putting a full, it looks like PLA full pay-per-view at the same, and probably at the same time as well, directly head to head with All In. But yeah, obviously SmackDown being in Ohio and Raw in Indiana the weekend after, the Monday after, kind of explains what is going on here as well. But yeah, it's very typical WWE playbook. It's you know, the characters might change, but the playbook very much remains the same. As I believe we have JP back there. Yeah, good to have you back, mate. We're back into the swing of it.
One of the links does that thing where it decides, nope, you can't have a picture up on here now, so you have to refresh really quickly. It's like, come on.
You made it.
I saw when I saw this story happen. I mean, it was inevitable, wasn't it? At some point, they were going to counter program with one of the big shows, and let's face it, they only had a whole other like 9 other weekend days of the month they could have gone with, but they had to go for this one on September 20th, and they have to obviously program with what is expected to be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena in there as well. I mean, fuck's sakes, it almost feels like they haven't learned anything from the shit show that really was that Atlanta weekend on the weekend of All In, because it didn't go well for them. They didn't. The only discourse they got was everything that was kind of negative in this. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, right, okay, so they want to, like, you know, listening to some of the conversation around it. It's like, well, why are they doing this? It's like, try to just steal the conversation away from AEW and their pay-per-views. Why do AEW pay-per-views kind of end up getting a lot of the conversation? Because they're always generally really fucking good. They're always at like a high level, and WWE PLEs haven't been at that level for a year and a bit now that we're talking about. So there's that's being thrown in there, obviously to try and get people who would perhaps watch AEW to go and watch WWE instead in there. But it's the same problems they had last time, which is they do this stuff as like it's just a massive distraction tactic away from their own internal problems, which they refuse to look at, about making their own shows good. And I'm not quite sure that a discourse of look at this shit main event, which has a whole lot of red flags all over it, like the inclusion of Brock Lesnar back into the mix, is that really worth it? Because I don't think the match isn't going to... This isn't Extreme Rules 2012 here. Like, we are like we're a world away. It was Extreme Rules 2012 when they had their first match.
I think it was, yeah. 13 years ago. Time.
Fucking hell. Well, they're not having that kind of match again, are they? It's not going to be living up to that kind of a standard. And do they really think that that's the thing that's going to end up dominating the discourse, is it not being particularly good? But
it depends what, like, obviously the motive is. It's always bad. It's WWE again. You know, Chris says in the chat he's spoken to people who can't see the issue with WWE run the show on the same day. Proper morons. I mean, yeah. What can you like? There's only one reason, you know, this is happening. Whether it's going to work or not, as you said there, JP, is like another conversation point. But again, there are many other days this show could have been put on. Is it a reaction to obviously AEW? I'll put it in like the show notes. AEW, you've got a collision coming up. It's on a Tuesday in October. It's what they call it, Titled Tuesday once again, and that is the plan. So again, they'll say they came for us first. They're running opposite NXT again. How dare they? And this is like it literally could be that they are petty enough that it could be like a revenge shot, or it could just be that conversation of, you know, obviously with the big new deal WWE have done now. You know, AEW are the one outside of boxing remaining pay-per-view entity out there. So obviously WWE are going to be subscription, and have been subscription only everywhere across the world. So, you know, they may be trying to fire that last shot at a pay-per-view and kill it for maybe part of the motivation here as well. But I think it's exactly that. It's as we saw with the news cycle, it's to strangle the news cycle. It's to make people just talk about WWE rather than talk about AEW. I know what you mean. Coming out of it, will that conversation be good? Because I think all of the big matches that are probably going to be on All Out, including even the one with Cope, are probably going to be better than anything coming out of what WWE put on. Again, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena in 2025 isn't going to hold a candle to anything AEW do, but the tactic here is going to be the conversation going in, because whether it's going to be a good match or not, that's about as big a match as WWE can put on right now, or at least a big headline grabbing match with big stars. And there's a reason it sounds like they're holding off on it and not doing it in the Paris show this month and saving it for there, because they know at least going in for good and for bad, and that seems to be the tactic right now. People are going to be talking about it, and that will strangle AEW in turn.
Yeah, I can. you could see that like that's their motive. I'm just not convinced they're going to succeed, because I think if anything else we've learned from sort of the history of AEW pay-per-views is that almost feels like it's cast iron. There's about 100,000 people who will buy the show. And even the times when they've done below 100,000, it's when they ran this show a week after All In, which did over 200,000. So it was something that was like, if they looked at it in the totality, they would have said, we got 300,000 buys over 2 weeks, which is really good. And I think if they got 100,000, they'd be perfectly fine with it. It doesn't appear there's any suggestion that WWE are going to move their show to the afternoon, or in fact AEW are going to move their show to the afternoon.
No, especially not Toronto, East Coast time as well. You definitely wouldn't interview with them.
The response to the argument of, well, they came for us first because they ran a collision on a Tuesday is weak at best. And considering that they counter-programmed NXT directly against Dynamite for the longest period of time to try and deliberately like kind of try and do that. I mean, I dislike this stuff because it's. I mean, not only because I just don't like WWE, and particularly at the minute,
and because it makes our lives harder.
It does make
middle
our
dealer's
lives
choice as
harder.
well. Got to figure out what we're going to do. We're going to recover the WWE pay-per-view and AEW pay-per-view and do whoever's. Maybe we'll just make that week that can be Matty's dealer's choice. We cover the WWE show. That's it. That's what he gets that weekend. Congratulations, Matty.
Horrible experience that would be for that.
I don't think of the podcasters, JP. Come on, Taylor Swift's one of us now. We're important people. We matter.
Well, her fella's been one of us for quite a period of time, isn't he? He was in Happy Gilmore.
One go the way in, didn't she? She's where the brothers butters, you know.
Oh, that's it. They're all doing it now, aren't they? It's just I don't see, like, ultimately, like, their product isn't good enough ultimately for this to be a kind of like conceivable strategy that works. If you even go back to the kind of the history of them doing this, so the idea of WCW running Clash of the Champions up against the Royal Rumble? That was like, you know, that sort of first time, and then it got very, very nasty thereafter because they were treating like they were fucking aggrieved. And this is before the era of like the Billionaire Ted skits and stuff like that. I just think for this is really...
They concentrate on themselves, don't they? Like, that's the lesson we learned this year. AEW's been mostly on a winner. We'll get to AEW in a bit. I felt a little bit of a malaise for AEW the last month in this Forbidden Door build. But generally speaking, had a much better year than WWE. And you know why? They concentrated on themselves. They stopped thinking about what was happening on the other side. They concentrated on their stars, on their young stars, on the people who should be, you know, getting TV time and putting all of those ducks in a row. And WWE have just been a fucking mess, both from a creative point of view, from, you know, a behind the scenes point of view, it seems like as well, and from also having their eye on like what AEW are doing. It's obviously a small part of the puzzle, but it's like, why is it even a part of the puzzle in the first place? To your point, just to concentrate on your own very big and often small problems. But there's a lot of those small problems with WWE right now. So again, just weird timing to do it. It's the type of thing they could get away with, like when they're on a winner, you know, like a year ago or 18 months ago when it felt like they were rolling. AEW's it's a nice little way if you're a gobshite like them to kick AEW when they're down. Like, that's not the scenario right now. So like, it feels like, again, it's out of that playbook. Maybe it's an idea they had months and months ago and they're following through with it, but it's probably the last thing that should be a front of house. But there we go. Yeah, it was against WrestleMania there 4.
Yeah, that's it.
Obviously, the Clash. But in revenge for Survivor Series being against the Arcade is the history book on that one. Andy's got it in front of him.
So they do this, fair play, Andy. You got that history book out there as well. But I think with all of this stuff, I mean, it just serves as a distraction, as just a distraction tactic, like say from the big creative problems and the problems
maybe
of all of the PLEs. I think they are.
They're just making too much money, JP. Nick Khan's got nothing to do. He just likes to poke AEW, get Robheads on Ariel Helwani and get him to do their bidding. You know, that seems to be what he's doing right now. It's just like, we've got all our billions from ESPN and obviously from Paramount on the UFC side. When you talk TKO as a whole, fuck it, what can we do? Let's fuck with AEW. That feels like what's going on.
Which is a weird choice when you think of it. It's like, okay, we've got this money. We could make our shows just the grandest, biggest productions, and we could properly sort of try and sort out the problems. They have this entire like machine behind them to be able to do it. And they don't want to do it because ultimately, I always think this comes down to the problem of booking. It's like, would you trust Triple H to have his ducks in a row for whatever that show is they put up against All Out. I don't. I have zero faith for that being the case, given his track record, especially this year. I mean, when you've lost Matty, I like that was the thing. Like listening to the SummerSlam review, like when you're kind of losing him as like the booker, you think, Jesus Christ, you're not offering any kind of like fans, like any like proper like fan service and stuff like this. I also think the idea of them putting themselves as a comparison of like, yeah, the AEW show, spoiler alert, will run long, but it'll have some incredible matches on there. And like you said earlier on, even the Cope and Christian match versus FTR will prove to be any like better than anything probably that's on the WWE card. And if you're doing that comparison, it's just like, well, here's this company that's actually put on these big shows that actually have lots of really good wrestling in. They are it's just like they're proving the reason why AEW needs to exist as well. And this in the week when they've signed a deal that gives them on a yearly basis, just for the PLEs alone, more money than AEW gets in an entire year from Warner Brothers Discovery. And yet they still feel the need. It's that psychopathic need that Vince McMahon always had about having to own the wrestling industry. It's like they're still carrying this on rather than just going, no, we're the market leader. And it's almost like they mirror the insecurities that Triple H had as a wrestler and has as a booker now. It almost feels like they're mirroring that for this by like always this need to try and compete.
Who produced this when he sat there watching WWE Unreal and it's everything. It's just all about how fucking great Triple H is, you know. That's the they've still got that side to them. But I mean, you mentioned like the ESPN deal there. Like we haven't had your take on it. Like, what are your broad line thoughts on it? Obviously, you know, it came out in the news that Peacock didn't match the ESPN offer, which is interesting to know. Me and Gareth were talking about it on Weekend Show and kind of going, isn't that interesting? That Netflix, that everyone just assumed we're going to take, you know, they've got the rights globally. America's just a case of let's see when the Peacock deal expires, and then Netflix will be announced for WWE. That's the news kind of caught a lot of us by surprise there in the week last week. But yeah, does that tell you anything about like maybe where WWE are at this point? I mean, they're not going to be complaining. They're getting a lot of money from ESPN, and ESPN, it sounds like we'll be getting a lot of money from their subscribers. JP, it's still a little bit confused. It sounds like it's a bit like in the UK, isn't it? Steph always used to say this to me, and I'm the same way because I watch the footy obviously for fancy football reasons and Everton reasons, but you know when WWE was on BT Sport, probably wasn't paying for BT Sport because the fucking price of it just for WWE. It was never worth it. If you're an American sports fan and you're probably willing to pay the $29.99 for this new over-the-top service or however the terminology is, not ESPN Plus, a different direct-to-consumer service also called ESPN. It's all very complicated, but you know you're probably going to pay that $29.99, and it might end up being cheaper for you if you're a wrestling fan who was paying already for ESPN, whatever the package costs through your cable. Where it sounds like with a lot of cable operators, you don't need to pay that $29.99. You're going to get it all regardless. And if you knock off whatever you're paying for Peacock to get WWE, you're probably in a better position. The people who just like wrestling, like a lot of us would be in the UK at times, not wanting to pay Sky Sports inflated prices or BT's inflated prices to fund the cricket. No offense, JP, or whatever else was going on. It feels like there's a lot of Americans who are in that position, but yeah, they aren't going to care. They're going to be getting the money, and it's going to be the problem of ESPN to get people to either pay the $29.99 or continue to pay whatever they're paying for ESPN.
Yeah, it's a funny one when hearing about this deal, because it almost feels like they're lucky that ESPN have this startup app and this bundling system. Because as far as I can gauge from this, ESPN are bundling all ESPN content to go onto this app, and that's $30. And then for an extra $10, you get what is something called Fox One, which does retail separately at $20 and includes much more sport like college football. Not all of it, but a good amount of it. But you can get that for an extra $10. So $40, you get all of that. And it's the classic streaming service game of inches. You pick up something to get a few new subscribers. So you've got such a broad palette. And I heard the brilliant conversation that John Pollock and Brandon Thurston had with Alex Sherman from CNBC about this.
Yeah,
and
they put that up as its own episode, didn't they? It was really good.
They did. And you can see what the strategy is. And in theory, you go, well, it's ESPN. And ESPN, like, obviously over here, it doesn't carry in the UK, I should say. Or I'm assuming also in Thailand. Doesn't carry the same gravitas than it does in the States, where it is just this very clear market leader.
Yeah.
I
it's
just
sports,
think
isn't it? It's all the sports pretty much, like, yeah.
But we heard like and the idea of them going, okay, we're on ESPN, that's a big deal. And I just sat there and I thought, is it though? Because you going on to Netflix should have been the game changer. And I'm not convinced that it is. And you look at the ratings, and I know we're early doors into it.
Let's see. Netflix now there.
Yeah, it's just like it's there, it's on Netflix, but it's not like the biggest deal of it on Netflix on there. Also, not the only wrestling to have gone on to ESPN, and it wasn't necessarily the most successful stuff if you include the AWA and Global going on there at various points in time. But it's a different ESPN, it's a different ecosystem. So all of that stuff being like kind of granted, it does. I'm not convinced that the cachet of being on ESPN will help WWE, because I still think that because there's so much content there, if they're thinking, oh, okay, this package has Survivor Series on there, and if it's just the usual what it's been this year, very mid-show, very formulaic, I don't see those people coming back. I think you'll get a pattern that sort of ends up similar to what has been the pattern on Netflix, where there's an initial kind of curiosity from people who are wrestling fans and non-wrestling fans alike, and then they drift away. And it's a much higher price point than Netflix, because I had the problem so I had to watch dodgy sites to see bits of SummerSlam when I did have internet out there in Turkey, because it was the same problem. It was geo-blocked because of the advertising tier that I'm on. And I was like, oh, well. So I had to download it.
For many reasons, you're your best friend now in the UK too.
The TV just had Challenge TV and Sky News, and I just downloaded loads of episodes of 24 Hours in Police Custody onto YouTube.
Do they have any 2010s TNA on Challenge? That'd be great.
They had none of that. A lot of The Chase, saw a bit of Bullseye. A quiz show hosted by Warwick Davis called Tenable was on there a lot, and a lot of Classic Millionaire as well. I saw people using up 2 lifelines to get to $1,000, and I was like, I felt like, remember that episode of Junior Soprano when he's under like house arrest and he's stuck indoors, and he's like,
and he watches Curb and he's like, is that me?
Yeah, he fucking is, isn't he? It's fucking incredible. But so I'm not convinced that this is quite a like financial undertaking for people if they're really set on watching the PLEs, and if they're not into sport, that's a lot of money to pay for that.
Yeah, we've lived it, haven't we? With Sky Sports and B2.
I mean, are you convinced that creatively they can, like, that they're gonna actually live up to kind of what would be the expectation? Because for all the other sports, all those fans know what they're going to be getting for this. It's just if you're going to try and create new fans through this, I'm not convinced that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it's like that was the guess, wasn't it? That a lot of us had, that Netflix was going to be, SB3 was there counting receipts when I had them on Grapple Live, being like, see, told you. That was the perceived wisdom, wasn't it? It's going to be front of house. It's on Netflix. It's going to create no fans. And there is some truth to that, like I was joking about it. I think it was on that live, or maybe it was the one with Suit last week. We were talking about
it was
Joe Budden going to Raw, and Rory and Mal. That Rory, you got really into CM Punk, one of my favorite podcasts. He's like a rap podcast there, from watching WWE Unreal. So I was like, so there are people out there. It's front of house. It's like the Mr. McMahon documentary. How many times? Not for good reason, obviously, but did you have people go, oh, have you seen that documentary that's on Netflix? There are people WWE content on Netflix is going to reach. Raw being on it every week. I'm not sure. Like, who's going to sit there and watch the hours? Who's as sick as we presumably are as wrestling fans to do that? As we've seen, people tuned in for the Rumble, didn't they? For the novelty of the Rumble or for the nostalgia of the Rumble. And then slightly less people actually tuned in for WrestleMania, but there was enough people who tuned in for the nostalgia. And then post that, it hasn't happened, has it? It hasn't been like this game changer that brings new eyeballs to WWE and does that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm sure like the idea from WWE hasn't changed, but I think maybe the reality is just take as much money as we fucking can, which is always what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, like, the knock-on effect of taking as much money as they can is that, like, none of this stuff really matters. It's at least for the next few years. It's ESPN's problem. It's Netflix's problem internationally. I think it will make the creative even worse. The money's always been guaranteed. It's been guaranteed for a very long time, but it's very guaranteed now. And I think for them, it's obviously it probably makes wrestling smaller, but they're not really going to care about that. They're going to be counting the zeros as they always are.
Yeah, they're going to count the zeros, but I also think that the people they go to It's like Netflix are like, okay, we're going to take this gamble on WWE, and then when they get it, they realize, and maybe this is me projecting, but this
they've
idea
been sold, haven't they? They've been sold on like the
Yeah.
idea. It's like the back catalog thing, because that's another domino that's about to fall. WWE are going to make millions on that fucking back catalog that nobody watches, other than knobhead podcasters like us. Oh, to be honest, people buy because we buy it for the idea, don't it? You buy it so that you get Netflix thinking, oh well, I could at some point I'll go back and watch the old shows, and you don't. Like that's what they're selling. But it's the same thing, with the pay-per-views. It's like it looks good in a spreadsheet, doesn't it? We've got all these fans, we've got all these eyeballs. It's live content every week. It's going down less than the rate of cable every week. Still going down though, and still isn't hot, but you can present it in a way that can, especially in in a world where cable TV is dying and there aren't many things you can rely on. Wrestling is actually one of the WWE and AEW is one of the things that have withstood the fall of cable over the last few years and fall less on average than the average cable fall is. That's just that it's gonna be attractive, isn't it? It's like right now it's the Titanic cable, and they're going to be grabbing onto whatever they can to keep afloat. And back in the day, wrestling was a dirty way, wasn't it? We can't sell advertising on it. Those wrestling fans are poor. They've got no money. You don't hear those arguments anymore, do you? Because they're just looking at the pure numbers and going, well, it's doing better than fucking everything else, so soddy. And then, add an extra couple of zeros on the end of it, and Nick Khan's a happy man too. So, that's kind of the reality of it, isn't it? And they probably don't know what they're buying, and obviously they're not paying attention to the level that obviously we are.
Yeah, all of that is absolutely true. I also think at the same time, they end up burning off those streaming companies who end up getting into bed with them, because they end up not really getting. I'm not convinced that Peacock bid more because they kind of almost thought, well, we've had this, and really how much of a game changer is it? And they probably found that it isn't a massive game changer. Whether Netflix will do the same after, the rumoured 5 years that they can go, right, okay, we might well end up cutting this off. Is this going to be the same for ESPN? That they're lucky.
Be consequence.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point. But that's the thing, isn't it? The consequence, because I feel like we waste our breath talking about morally how bankrupt WWE is, creatively how bad WWE is. You kind of want to see them get at least not punishment for it, but I don't know what the way it is. Probably is punishment, or just some consequence for it. It never happens, does it? They fall upwards. They fall. Raw fell, year on year on year on year, as Gareth will point out in the charts. But unfortunately, it fell. Well, fortunately for WWE, it fell less than cable. Creatively, it's been on a downswing again recently, but creatively, it was on a downswing for 20 years. It didn't matter because Vince McMahon was finding new ways to make money, and it was selling to the. I don't know for me, there'll always be another one around the corner. Once they burn the bridge with Netflix, they burn the bridge with ESPN. We're talking half a decade in the future, aren't we? Who knows what the reality is going to be then? It might be at Amazon that are literally trying to hold on.
I think that's the only one they wouldn't have gone to, because that's actually. This links obviously into the UFC story and them going.
Or anyone, you know what I mean? Like any of those providers, it could be. Who knows what the lay of the land's going to be in 5 to 10 years? And knowing WWE, they're going to find one of them, aren't they, to give them a fucking another boatload of money.
Yeah, exactly. And how many of these streaming services are going to end up consolidating? How many more mergers are we going to end up seeing into the mix as well? And I know the Paramount one's incredibly controversial because there's the takeover with CBS, and there's stuff to do with South Park, and then obviously Dana White's role in all of that. But it feels like, for example, like a Paramount Plus buying UFC is almost like, shit, we need something in order to get a young male demographic. Just get UFC, just bid twice as much for what they were getting on ESPN and bring them over.
7 billion? 7 billion?
I know.
For those cunts? Bill said that, didn't he? It's a sport produced by cunts, watched by cunts, performed by cunts. It's just fucking horrible, isn't it? And the cunts just keep making more money. That's even more true, isn't it, with UFC than it is with WWE? I don't know your thoughts on that.
Oh, I look at it as
terrible. It's terrible. We all had points in our lives, didn't we? We were UFC fans, or at least paid it close attention. It's fucking homogenized shite now. Who knows the difference between each UFC pay-per-view now? Which numbered pay-per-view is different than TV specials? They're all the fucking same, and they're going to be more the same now, aren't they? Now, the money is guaranteed with that too.
But they don't have the star power, and I think this is the thing that the obvious upside of them moving to Paramount Plus is the fact that the ESPN Plus pay-per-view model has been, from a technical perspective, and we don't get that. We don't have this issue over here in the UK, but it seems to have been a shit show, and people have been completely turned off by it. And I think Paramount are just so desperate to try and get some foothold in the streaming business because it feels like one of the ones that would easily fall to the wayside, that they are just going to make that big bid for it. But I don't see them getting the return on investment that they would have wanted from it. And UFC it's not got stars. It doesn't matter how many times people tell us,
by design. Like WWE, by design.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want stars. They don't want another Conor McGregor asking for more points on that. He was celebrating, wasn't he? Going, there you go. I'm the most successful pay-per-view drawer in modern combat sports history, or whatever it was he was saying. The weird cunt, he probably had no idea what he was saying. He was probably so coked up, but yeah, like, they don't want that, do they? They don't want somebody who's got the power like him to now. They're on pay-per-views, so it's fuck you to all of the fighters, including Conor McGregor. Like, why would you pay someone like that more money when every last show means the same as the last one? And again, that's the similarity to WWE.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a homogenized product that it's content for content's sake, and the people who like UFC, they're going to like it. But that number feels like it's funny because it does good when it comes to like when they're doing their shows and whatnot. Like, they are selling tickets to it, but that sort of larger audience, I don't feel like it connects with it at all. Like, I mean, even John Jones, who is, kind of, for all of the problems that he created, it's not like he was such a drawing star to kind of get lots of people in. There was a point in time where he was, but it felt for a long time that the bloom was off that rose. That he was a guy who was just like, you saw him fight so rarely that would he be worth the hassle? And now he's gone. And so you're left with a lot of like people there, and a lot of the last, like even your Dustin Poiriers and stuff have retired. Like Max Holloway would have retired. And they're not people I'd say were like ever big stars for like UFC, but they're there. And that's, and so I mean, I think that they're going to go to whichever street the overall sort of, I suppose, trying to summarize all of this is they're just going to go to whichever. There's always it feels at the minute there's a streamer who is desperate for content, so they're going to pay over the odds to get that content. And when they do pay for it, there's a bit of buyer's remorse of like, we've really overpaid for this, haven't we? And it's not had the impact on business. And it just comes a point of, is it going to get to a point where there is only 4 or 5 streamers? And they've all dabbled with WWE at various points and with UFC, and have thought, actually, this isn't worth. Is this really worth it? Are we getting enough out of this deal?
There'll be another town to sell that monorail, JP. There'll be another one.
Yeah, there will.
Yahoo. It'll be someone,
Amazon is like the other one that's there, but dare I say it? Maybe I'm wrong on this. It feels like AEW have quietly built a relationship with Amazon, just through having their pay-per-views on there. And I'm imagining they're doing good enough business that Amazon are looking at this going, this is kind of worthwhile. And they're a lot less grief than WWE.
It might be positive for AEW. It might be.
And they're a lot cheaper.
We can do what they do, but cheaper.
Yeah. If Shockwave was ever a TV program, rather than trying to sell it, if you weren't selling it to, say, network TV, which would be the dream in order to get more eyeballs on it, you just go straight to Amazon. That would be the sensible route for it as well, because it's that one straight, and it's not like Amazon are going out of business anytime soon, is it? Yeah. So yeah, I think with this is you just want them to get their comeuppance.
Netflix's fall for many decades,
Yeah, they have. They all of these companies leverage so much debt. We should always remember this with TKO. All these massive deals that they sign, this is all to pay off an astronomical amount of debt that the company has, that Endeavor leveraged when they purchased and they created TKO, and they purchased these companies and put them together. So yeah, you just want to get the comeuppance though, don't you?
It's not happening. The baddies keep winning, mate, both on the UFC and the WWE side. But that's probably enough on all that. But yeah, there you go. It doesn't make you happy. And again, for our friends over there in America, VPNs will still be your friend, mate. You'll still find a way. Get yourself a Triller, get yourself a Netflix account from somewhere in Eastern Europe. You always work it out. It's one of them. It's funny this, because I'm obviously being out in Thailand when I try and use Netflix to watch stuff. It doesn't tell me to fuck off. It just says you are not in a country currently where you can use your subscription. Please try a country where you can use your subscription. It's like, are they expecting me to get on a plane, or do they just outright know in the disclaimer that I'm just going to try a different VPN location until it works? Everyone's at it, and there's going to be more of that in the wrestling world and probably the UFC world as well.
Well, they'll end up banning VPNs over here at some point, mate.
I got no chance. It's
No
like that
fucking
court that tried
chance.
to do that with cookies at one point. That's why we all got that fucking stupid pop-up, haven't we, from the European court that tells you if you want cookies every. It's literally that some old man judge was just like, well, if you're going to put cookies on people's computers, well, you need to ask them every single time. So now we get asked every fucking single time. So I should say, actually, yeah, it's not beyond the realm or possibility that some idiot might block all VPNs in the UK. But choose a VPN to get to your VPN, JP. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I can't live without my VPN. I'll tell you that. Like,
DNS services, they'll be back. That's
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Bring them back. DNS services. Fuck me. That's not a phrase I've heard in a long time there as well. But we've got some smaller news stories in here, including one that
have we ever?
Have we ever? Fuck me on this. Karrion Kross. Well, he's not Karrion Kross anymore. He's left WWE in.
Has he?
I heard Trevor Dame describe this, and I thought this is the perfect summary. He is the example of a wrestler who a couple of people got into a queue who are very excited. It's like people get into a queue, they're very excited, and other people just start queuing because they assume it's for something good, and they just join in, and they're just like, yeah, have you seen this bloke wrestle? Well, he's become Killer Kross there as well. He's got his new Pro Wrestling Tees store on there as well. Scarlett Bordeaux's gone to her pre-WWE nickname of the Smoke Show there as well. There is it is looking like he is going, or like it wouldn't surprise me if they signed him back. But then apparently on Raw, there wasn't like there was wholesale chants of people wanting Karrion Kross.
They were confiscating signs when they did the reports of that happening.
But there wasn't stuff that was like so noticeable of him not being there as well. God, I just say watch that SummerSlam match with him and Sami Zayn. Like, Jesus Christ, in there. But he's gone back to Killer Kross. Where does he end up next? Hopefully somewhere where I don't have to see him. In there.
Yeah, which is the answer to both questions.
Yeah,
buy it. I'll turn it to Gareth, but it sounds like from what Meltzer's saying, like it obviously links into. You don't need to go through into the next story, but basically, the roster aren't happy because they all got worked over Seth. Like, if they fell for that, then more fool them. Because I don't think, contrary to Becky Lynch's claims, none of the podcasters fell for it. I think a couple of the news sites fell for it, but more fool them. Most people worked out that was a work eventually, depending on when they worked it out. Like. This one, like, nobody seems to believe it. Everyone just to shoot because he's doing the press tour, isn't he? With he's doing a book right now, the ECW press, and he's not allowed.
Yep.
Interviewers aren't allowed to ask him questions about it. So I guess there's that. He could take indie bookings, and I guess we'll be on the wiser which indie bookings he takes. If he turns up on Dynamite, okay, maybe then I'll believe it. I honestly think it's some weird, stupid shit work, and they haven't learned the lesson from all the truth killings, and the fans haven't learned the fucking lesson from that. Based on SmackDown last week, where if you're good, I'm good, as Ron Collins I think said to John Cena. He's just back to being a wacky comedy figure again. None of that happened. Blinking, you missed it. MIB memory gun stuff again with the Fed, and that he was the last one, wasn't he, that everyone fought for? Feels like they're trying it again, and it's probably going to go the same way because it's Killer / Karrion Kross. Is he really worth the effort? It could be a shoot. It could be him, trying to negotiate himself a better contract, and there actually being some truth to this. But yeah, it sounds like even the roster aren't falling for this one.
No, and for good fucking reason, like you said. Like, he's setting up, like, if I was thinking, where are the places that he would end up in? And I thought, well, there is two places you could see him going.
GCW.
Because do you know what? That wouldn't be a surprise. GCW, TNA, and AAA. And they would act like he's going into different promotions. It's like, no, you're all WWE adjacent. It's a place to put someone to make it look like, he's been released from the company. He's this controversial figure.
Dude, Matt Hardy thing. When he turned up in ROH and all that stuff years ago. But then Matt Hardy at the time, genuinely, was good. Killer Kross isn't good. He's also going to wrestle. This is the problem.
This is it. I've never seen him have a good match. Like, I've never seen him have a good match. And he's gotten worse over time in there.
MLW, yeah, maybe.
MLW. I mean, potentially, but I think the money he'd want for that, to be realistic. I mean, I think it feels like if TNA would be like an obvious landing spot, because they probably have him come in and beat Trick Williams, and it just like, if something like that happened, would you be surprised? No, I think that would be like almost a bit. If he turned up at Triple Mania this weekend, would you be surprised? No, because it just feels like these are easy like landing spots for them, and they'll still say, oh, look at this. Where's he going to turn up next? It's like, well, he'll only turn up in promotions that are adjacent to them. He's not going to turn up in New Japan. He's not going to turn up in AEW. I would be despairing if he turned up there. And I just think this groundswell thing is just going to end up disappearing. And like you say, we're following in from, you know, the Seth Rollins, the Ron Killings, the John Cena stuff. It's just like all of these things where it's just like this is what you're calling creative. You can't, because this is all an avoidance of actually the bigger strategy of our creative just doesn't work at the minute. Like whatever
the real
direction
creativity to be real. That's what this is. It's a storyline for that.
Yeah,
most likely.
It is, isn't it? It's like, it felt like the whole Seth Rollins thing at SummerSlam, like you said with Matt. It's like, this is just them working an angle for Unreal. That's what all of this is, and it's nothing more than that. So yeah, I fucking hell. Like, and obviously if you're working there and you're working the people who are working in the company, it's like that kind of stuff feels like it's the last. You can only get away with it very sparingly to do that sort of stuff where you're working people, like to a degree. Like, I'm talking once every few years you can get away with this. But if you're doing it, what will be like the fourth time in like the last 6 months, like fucking hellfire. There's just fatigue from it. Like, just like, well, what exactly is this? It's because it just is them not being able to sort of craft good feuds and good storylines. So, yeah, no tears shed on that front as well. Apart from my tears of Seth Rollins cashing in the most obvious thing in the world, and there as well. But move on to a couple of other stories as well. A judge has granted Janelle Grant access to the Peak Wellness medical records and documents, has denied depositions there as well. The judge's order is not only the medical and the billing, but it's certain communications between Peak Wellness and Vince McMahon or WWE. You have to remember they're also part of this lawsuit there as well. Obviously, the team for the defense has said they'll challenge the communications requests as well. And the judge said that they would consider it as well. There's a video that's linked to in this story on the Post Wrestling site of them talking about how they've reached that decision in there as well. But he says the medical records that they are going to be turned over there as well. But he will entertain, like I said, the objection to the communications records, which always feel like there'll be a lot more damning in that case as well. So there'll be a bit of a delay for this, but it's that other incremental kind of idea of, no, you need to disclose some of this stuff in there as well, which I thought, when even just reading this story, how it was, again, going back to the conversation you had with Matty about, well, if after Brock Lesnar appearing at SummerSlam, thinking if Vince came back into the company before the end of the year, before the end of this Cena run, you're not going to be shocked at all. Regardless,
I think this will have to more go away, but I won't be shocked. Obviously, there's a lot going on, like you say. There's obviously this with Dr. Colin Colker. He's countersued, hasn't he? Grant's attorney and Carlos as well. Obviously, we've got the big case still waiting as far as Grant against McMahon and WWE, but it gets quiet, or it doesn't feel like, at least, from the the statements we're still getting, obviously from the Janelle Grant side, that like it's not going to be ending anytime soon. There's not going to be any kind of backroom deal done with that side, with everything the same. It seems unlikely, but if it does, if a judge throws it out, or it gets dealt with in private arbitration, which is the one thing obviously the Janelle Grant side don't want, then yeah, that might open the door, and there will be fans who will be chanting "Thank you, Vince" and cheering for him, and reacting the same way they reacted when Brock Lesnar came back. Like, again, I don't think the Brock thing was a tester for that, but in reality, is it a tester for that? Yeah, and it showed that. No, again, obviously the Vince element of it is the massive element of it, and as bad as what's said about Brock Lesnar is, and when he's mentioned 44 times in the paperwork is terrible. But the Vince stuff obviously is even more terrible. I don't think it's going to matter, as we've seen with Brock. There are going to be people who defend it. There's going to be people saying, "Well, what crime did he commit?" And we're all going to move on. I feel even more like concerned is probably the word that's going to happen now. And probably, like you say, wouldn't shock me if it was before the end of the year. Probably more likely next year, but certainly before the fucker croaks.
Yeah. Yeah,
which it might be soon based on what he looked like at a Hogan funeral, but who knows?
Not fucking real.
Thinking.
He looks even like, honestly, God, he literally looks like a vulture to me. He just looks like one of the wax, or is it the fucking like spitting image puppet that Bray Wyatt used to have of like the fucking vulture. That's what he just seems to have just turned into.
Sounds like something was going on in your Turkish hotel, mate. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh, fucking hell. Some of the food there, Jesus Christ. I didn't take us, again, just like.
Oh, yeah, no pictures of the desserts, mate. I missed them.
I had a couple of them. The food was relatively normal. Like, I mean, obviously, with the exception of a complete absence of pork, which is to be expected, given that it is a Muslim country. But
almost too much pork here. It's everywhere in Thailand.
The desserts.
What was that?
Why do they dye everything green and purple? I don't understand. Like, you're just getting this. It's like, I don't understand what this is. It's much nicer though. Much nicer than the place I went back to a few years ago for the desserts.
Good stuff.
Yeah, in there as well. And on a lighter note, after that one, God, I don't know how I feel about this. John Layfield is going to be part of the Triple Mania, to give it its proper name, 33 commentary team in Mexico City. He's going to be there alongside Corey Graves at Arena Huidad this Saturday. It's going to be free on YouTube. We'll be previewing it on the weekend show this week. He was given the green light. He was contacted last week about it and then given the green light by Jeremy Borash to announce the news. So it's going to be on their YouTube channel next Saturday in there as well, which is obviously headlined for the Mega Championship. Vikingo, the champion, versus Dominic Mysterio versus El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. So, they're not trusting any of the regular AAA talent to be in there as well. Him being a commentator on there, I mean, his storyline over the last year has been the most pointless fucking storyline. He appears at a show stealing Jeff Jarrett's gimmick when he turned up in GCW and refused to put over Effie, which I loved. But he would turn up and he'd just hit someone with a lariat and then fuck off, and he would just do it in either AAA or TNA. And in this time he's just doing commentary. It's like, oh, so I expect him to get out of his seat in this main event and do it to Vikingo and help Dominic Mysterio win. You know,
the one thing I would say is, I saw Cubs fans say about this, the thing that's obviously been, passed around by the new different news sites, is that JBL's doing commentary with Corey Graves. But what got left out was, oh no, Conan's still in the booth. Carlos is still going to be there, apparently. After this performance last time, but it was our personal entertainment. It definitely added to the show for us, didn't it? But if you're WWE, it feels a bit Jesse Ventura, doesn't it? It feels a bit. We all laughed at Jesse not understanding the rules of the cage match, but if you're running the company, you probably don't want him out there undercutting it. They're probably going to feel that about Conan.
Jesus Christ, Conan is just going to be an absolute wild card in all of this. I mean, I actually think Corey Graves is a good choice for it. Probably helps that his brother's been wrestling there and Sam Adonis for like years. He's not on the card for this at time of recording this, but so he's got at least some awareness of AAA in there. JBL has some awareness of AAA. He's appeared a few times on there. I mean, the fact it's on YouTube, I mean, you're expecting better production values, obviously, than what we normally get from AAA, which is a shit show, and it's a bastard to find on stream sometimes there as well. But Conan being on there feels like that bit of authentic AAA fucking shitness that we want from AAA. That I want from
Will he
AAA.
let JBL bully him? Probably not. I think Carlos going to stand up for himself. That's what we need for the sickos, but that is actually, we're going to be previewing it on the weekend show. I mean, God doesn't look up too much. Vikingo v Dominic Mysterio v El Grande Americano v Dragon Lee. I guess that sounds like AAA. Beto and Angel versus Psycho Clown and Pagano. Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Jordan Devlin on a AAA show with Raquel Rodriguez against Mr. Iguana, Lola Vice and Nina Hamburg. I mean, it looks like a bet. To be fair, still sounds more entertaining than Clash in Paris. So I can give him that.
Yeah. That's what I would say. There's a bit of.
Should do Cena versus Logan Paul in a Triple Mania. I think it'd be better. I think I'd be more entertained by it, to be honest. I think I'd be into that.
You'd think as well, because it is, if it's all part of the same machine, just a Cena in Mexico City would be like a draw for this, because I don't think that's a big arena. That's a 20,000 seater. It feels very much like the T-Mobile. like it's a proper like modern fancy arena. You know, I think you need big guns than this. Although the Dominic Mysterio pop was incredible when he did come out.
Yeah, he's a big star.
Is he gonna be that draw? Like that would be the thing. And you know, I suppose the only thing for me is which of the WWE guys win the title. that's what I'm expecting.
They're all WWE guys these days, aren't they? You know, even Mr. Iguana, he's sold out as a SmackDown guy now. He's more of a SmackDown guy than Matty is in 2025. But I was going to say, before we move on from WWE, like I was going to ask what your thoughts are on the Clash in the Paris show. All we know right now is Cena versus Logan Paul, Naomi versus Stephanie Vicker, Seth Rollins, LA Knight, and Jey Uso, all getting a shot. You get a shot. You get a shot at CM Punk, thanks to Adam Pearce on Monday Night Raw this week. Punk was shaking the ropes like he was the Ultimate Warrior, all excited for it. The people from Paris are apparently going to get to see Roman as well. He's going to be on the show as well, so they don't get Brock, but they get Roman. That's an upgrade there, even by my book there as well. But I don't know, should I say you're excited for that, or should I say in the famous words like we do with Matty, will you still be finishing SummerSlam, mate, before we get there? Have you made it through that?
Oh, there's bits of that I've liberally skipped through or just not paid. I kept on getting bored. Like just points I was just like, Jesus. And I spoke to Joe about this, and I was just like, he just said to me, he goes, God, it's so formulaic, isn't it? And I just went, just ridiculous. Like it feels, I think you described just so much of it just mid. It's there. It's wrestling for wrestling's sake. But I almost feel like I'm watching a supersized version of a TNA show of just lots of like, okay, all right, that happened. That was a match. The stuff that you thought would be better than what it was just really didn't turn out to be. I mean, I just found myself completely uninspired by them as this is a show. They've done worse shows this year.
2 days was too much. It was exhausting by the time like Monday came. Like it was way too much for like say that much mid.
Oh God, yeah, and it just is very uninspiring. There's nothing about this that kind of gets you excited for the future. And it's sad. Like, I mean, like Seth Rollins doing the cash in and the obviousness, and all those people giving John Pollock shit, and just like, well, you should be eating shit now because he was completely fucking spot on in what he said there. Yeah, I'm just struggling to enjoy any of their big shows at the moment. Like, I'm trying to think of the last one I watched where I've enjoyed, and I can't think of any in 2025 that I've watched. I might be even going back to the Puerto Rico show. Well, I'm just thinking that was just a time where I could kind of lose myself in a show because of a crowd doing that. And that was more of a fucking novel. That's Bad Bunny, for God's sakes. The guy helps Happy Gilmore win in the end. Like,
I thought he was good. I don't know.
He was.
MJF still stole the show for me, but he was all right.
Yeah. But did you notice Nikki Bella in there as well?
I saw Becky. I didn't see Nikki Bella.
She's Becky Lynch's caddy. She was meant to have had some sort of a speaking role, and she wasn't. It's got the the strangest cameos in the world. Well, I'm watching this and I'm going, there's MJF and there's Rory McIlroy. Like, what the this is insane. With this, and I'm watching one of the Safdie brothers, and I'm like thinking, geez, like as the main villain. And I'm thinking the last time I saw him as an actor was Oppenheimer, and I'm thinking, God, you uncut gems to this. This is Jesus Christ. It's just like, all right, you're returning the favor for old Adam Sandler.
Speaking of content for content's sake, Adam Sandler's got a lot of Netflix content to make, hasn't he? Fuck it, we'll do a sequel. There'll be a third one. You know, he'll find a way.
He just he can't be asked. He felt that way, actually. He felt like a man who was kind of sleepwalking through it. What I would say the best thing about that was Scotty Scheffler, who was making a whole reference to him being arrested. So this is golf talk in there. But John Daly living in his garage. I was like, that made me laugh. But I
didn't know who that is. I've got to be honest. I had to Google it. I was like, was he in the first film? Oh, right. He's famous.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
They had no one from the first film. They had barely any cameos. There were no real golfers and stuff in there.
Most of them are dead.
They couldn't fucking wait for this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had fucking Nick Faldo in it and Jack Nicklaus. It's like, what? But no Tiger, which is the weirdest one at all. And then it's like, he's
always just somewhere off screen laughing with all his friends.
Really, really fucking odd. Like, honestly. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Rather like when I watched Heads of State. I enjoyed that. I suppose the next wrestling tie-in film I'll need to see is The Pickup, which is on Amazon, because Roman Reigns has a speaking role in that, with Pete Davidson and Eddie Murphy.
Fucking hell. Is that like a straight to Amazon film? I'd never even heard about
Straight to Amazon film. Yeah. Another one. They've got it up on there now.
Show, actually. I remember now.
I'd assume Matty would have watched that in this
film club. Coming soon.
Well,
that'd be his dealer's choice. We'll get there.
That would be a fucking dark. Just what did you think? It was all right. It was a bang average fucking like straight to streaming service film that was on there where you just watching this going, oh, has Eddie Murphy got money trouble? I'm assuming so if he's appearing in this. Has that kind of vibe to it, doesn't he? Bless him.
For sure. Well, all right. And finally, story with WWE before we move on to AEW. And we've got some G1 to talk as well. What's to include this one, JP, as we have Bret Hart coming out saying he doesn't feel appreciated by WWE following his SummerSlam snub. Apparently, Bret turned up to SummerSlam and there were no tickets for him. And he does muse out loud that some of the reason for that might be some of the quotables that have come out recently, considering the one he did about Terry, where he just went on and on about what a terrible person Hogan was and how he did nothing for nobody. And then he threw Jake the Snake under the bus as well, about as far as lists of people that Bret's still got a gripe against from the 80s and early 90s when he was still trying to be world champion. And in the same interview, this is my favourite and finally part of the Bret quotables this week. He did say, and where's the lie, JP, in the words of a famous tag team wrestler, pro wrestlers would be better off if they copied me more, said Bret Hart. Which, you know what, fair enough. He says a lot of guys giving the courtesy of ringing him when they're on TV, asking if they can do his moves. Shout out to Dax, most likely. Probably shout out to Phil as well, who doesn't just nick moves at this point. He nicks entire matches, but he said, he sees it as a compliment. And whenever he watches wrestling, he sees something that's obviously a salute. He takes it as a huge compliment, especially from wrestlers today. They'd all be a lot better if they copied me more. Again, this coming up as other quotables about how Gunther's a terrible worker because he does chops. You got to love Bret. He's going to be Bret to the end. What a man.
He is. Never change, Bret. And he never will change. This is him. This is him baked into the fucking cake, isn't he? And is he wrong? Nope. Like, if they copied him, if they started taking, like, sort of front bumps into the turnbuckle, delivered the punches the way he does, which I've always loved and thought that. The idea of he only does the same move. No, he just does. He has a move set and he does it really fucking well. That's the genius of it. It's what anybody who's any good would do. What's the stuff that works? I'll do that. And just carries himself like a proper consummate professional in there. Like, they should absolutely, like, some of them should be like sort of stealing from him, because when watching a lot of the matches at SummerSlam, you really wouldn't know. They're not having entertaining matches like Bret. How many old shows have we watched where there'll be like a lot of the stuff from like the early 90s and you think, this has been pretty bang average, and then the Bret match will happen and then that'll be the thing you go, oh, well, this was good because Bret was there. But it's then snubbing him at SummerSlam. I'm just really hoping we can get back to a world like we did for that first double.
Kevin Nash got a good seat, Bret noted,
Exactly. And who's more important to that company's history and legacy, Kevin Nash or Bret Hart? I mean, it's who Kevin Nash is mates with. Wouldn't it be great to see him? Wouldn't it be great to see him?
Who's telling the story?
Not so much like a Forbidden Door would be great if he was there. If he turned up at All Out, just would be there. Just went, no, we'll invite you, mate. We'll put your fucking pride of place in there. That would be like the best thing. I'm assuming he can't do it because he'll have signed some sort of Legends deal with them, and they'll make sure that can't really be the case. But Bret never change as well. Just love him the most.
What a bloke. He'll always tell the truth. And I'm sure Gunther appreciated it more than he appreciated fucking Undertaker kissing his ass from his... I saw that headline. It's something like, Gunther is the last remaining archetype of the Attitude Era, I think was a quote from the Undertaker. No, he's fucking not, mate. He's not in any way. Piss off. Just because he doesn't play Bones backstage and go on TikTok. Fuck off. Anyway, that's that. But there you go. There's WWE as we move on to... many wrestlers that are influenced by Bret Hart on the AEW side as well, not the least of which Carol Fletcher looking pretty in pink behind me and JP on the video version. But we got you back, JP. Also, we can have a catch up on your AEW thoughts as well, going into Forbidden Door, which unbelievably is next weekend. Not this one coming, next weekend. Technically, that is next weekend. It's next week. It's Forbidden Door. We've got some ticket sale numbers we can get into on it. seems like maybe things have slowed a little bit, at least on the Glasgow front. It does feel like I don't know if anybody's out there in our chat who got it, but a couple of people mentioned getting an email from Triller offering, it wasn't quite buy one get one like WWE are doing, but some money off getting yourself a Glasgow Dynamite ticket. So not a bad thing, just tells you that going through every possible means to fill that place up. I mean, the current numbers at time of recording were set up for 16,695 at the O2 for Forbidden Door. We've distributed 14,526. Hey, WWF would have taken that for UK Rampage in 1991, so not too shabby. Not too far up, and 1,245 up since the last time WrestleTix gave us a number, which was 11 days ago, and you'd imagine that's going to shoot up as time goes. And as far as the Glasgow Dynamite / Collision taping goes, we are at 6,335 tickets distributed. It's set up for 8,000. You can get it to 10. It's not hitting 10. I don't think in Glasgow at the Hydro, but who knows? Still better than ICW, mate. So we'll take that as a win. I think just about actually. It's actually running quite close. I'll have to double check what that shoot ICW number was, but I think they'll hit 8,000. But yeah. Do you think as the card has come out and we know a little bit more about it, we kind of know more what the show is, which Gareth was saying on Weekend Show he's happier with? It's not, definitely doesn't feel like AEW versus New Japan this show with the big matches they've announced so far. Feels like just an AEW show that's called Forbidden Door. It's a bit like, when King of the Ring was just a pay-per-view called King of the Ring. Gareth was saying he's happy with that. I don't know. Do you think these tickets will move anymore? And what's your level of excitement based on the last while of TV, JP?
So I'm much more excited about this show since it's just Forbidden Door in name only. I'm very much like Gareth. I'm just like, well, just give us some AEW stuff with a couple of lads from New Japan on the undercard, which is feeling like we're going to get, with one of the matches at least looking interesting potentially in Zack versus Nigel for the IWGP title, which has a novelty value, if nothing else, and also works a style that Nigel is going to be much more content with, where he's not going to have to take lots of bumps, and he can like Zack can kind of guide him through that. That feels like a much smarter match to be able to offer. And considering,
I don't mind that match, I just don't like how they got to it. Like, I just feel like if you just had Zack come out and be like, because that looked far from me, JP, to agree with the New Japan sickos. I am not joining Naito FC. Can I just say that outright? They've got their own problems. They should worry about that. We're going to get to the G1 in a little while. That's a bigger issue than big bad AEW bully in New Japan. Yeah. But there is some truth to the fact that I think they've lessened that. Like, that's the one... For me, that's the one New Japan versus AEW match that actually could mean something. And I don't get the argument that it has to be like a Jack Perry like we've had in the past, because it has to be someone who can lose. I can't think of anybody outside of like Hangman who wouldn't have lose. I don't think you could at least get away with it. There are obviously more optimal people and less optimal people, but most of the roster you can get away with losing to Zack, especially considering Zack comes over a lot and does Ring of Honor and does bits of AEW, and you could get that win back at some point. I've got no problem with it. And I've actually, as well, just to be balanced, it's me, innit? Have I got a problem with Nigel McGuinness versus Zack Sabre Jr.? Absolutely not. I kind of like that as a dream match. I just think it'd be better if they just did it that way and Zack was like, I'm the IWGP World Champion. I know you're not really a regular wrestler anymore, but boot up Nigel, get some practicing over the next few weeks. Wrestle Lee Moriarty, wrestle whoever else. And I'll meet you at Forbidden Door, get yourself ready. I think that would be okay. I think what they've done instead in doing this silly four-way is kind of like the technical spectacle, whatever they've called it. They filled it with mid-carders, and they've made it very clear what they think of the IWGP title. Like I say, Jack Perry was the contender one year, and this year Daniel Garcia, who's barely won on TV for a fucking age, and Lee Moriarty, who's barely been on TV in an age, could potentially get the match. And I know at the end of the day, it's going to be Nigel, and we're going to get to the place that I'm happy with. But I actually think going that route and doing that whole Tony Khan, well, we have to have a match to justify it. We have to have a number one contenders match, actually lessens it rather than just announcing it outright. Or obviously, the idea would have been spending the last 3 months building Nigel up to get to this point, but like that was never going to happen. So I think the better option was just to accept it's a dream match, because it's the dream match show, rather than go the route they have. Sorry, I've got strong feelings on that one.
No, I think that's actually it's a really fair point for like the build for it. I just think when I'm there at the time, and this match is happening,
I was there, I'd be going mad. The match itself, match will be good no matter what, And
I'll forget about all of that. And I'll just go, well, I'd be kind of glad that there isn't like this really.
What should be H0 now?
That's it.
He's got to win over Zack. No?
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, then they had that match at the Copper Box as well, didn't they? That we saw last
That's what I mean,
year.
yeah. But it just again, it'd just be a weird way to get to it. I think it's just it's very Tony Khan pill book, and it does. I think I understand. Like I say, I sympathise just a little bit with the people who are like, okay, fair enough, you've made this an AEW show now, but the 1 or 2 AEW versus New Japan matches, you could make them feel big. And the way they're getting there doesn't feel big, even if it might on the night.
They could do. So much of the problem with this is the timing. It's just the idea of you doing this while the G1 is on. So it's like the focus of New Japan is just in a completely different place. And therefore, you can't have like any of that proper build. Not like they've ever done proper build for Forbidden Door in their life. So in some ways, for a lot of the stuff on here, I like the main stuff that for AEW. And that's not including the fact, are we going to get, and you talk about the tickets as well. I think if we get Darby Moxley announced and MJF Hangman announced, I think it will sell out. I think that there'll be the things that will kind of finalize like how well
at least how they've got it set up. You mean, yeah,
how they've got it set up for that. But I mean, I think actually in total, am I right in thinking, just looking at it now, just in terms of the total amount of seats is 17,500. Like the setup, obviously they're going to lose something. You have to have some kind of staging, but I think that would take them. Did they what they just had the one where it's just it's the tunnel with the LED screens along the side, didn't they, for money?
You know, I know that because that's how Matty got in. Matty got a seat because of that. So they got almost 19,000 in for WWE.
I think if you announce those matches and then confirm Zack versus Nigel, and the fact that the cheapest tickets available are £31.75, so let's say 40 quid, including Ticketmaster prices. I jest. But like that would be, I think, the things that could kind of like sell it over the edge, and the fact it's a bank holiday. So it feels like, oh, okay, we're getting all of the like ducks in a row for this, and that's absolutely fine. I'm just happier that this feels like a much more in-canon show rather than having to shoehorn in lots of people from New Japan who, I'll be frank, I don't really care about being shoehorned into this card to try and make them feel like they're on a level with AEW, because the way I feel about New Japan, they're not in that place. There's people who I like, and there's people who I'd like to see. Unfortunately, not a lot of them look like they're going to get out of the blocks for the out of the G1. But the people I would be kind of interested in seeing, and we're not getting those. Instead, like having a random challenger for New Japan for Carl Fletcher feels perfectly fine for me. I'm all right.
Who do you reckon on that? The way he worded it, your best pound for pound wrestler is what he said on Collision. Because I just thought Tanahashi, to be honest. I was just like, Tanahashi, veteran against the young AEW upstart who he can put over. I'm all right with it. But the way he worded it, that's not. Is that New Japan's best pound for pound wrestler? I don't know who it is, to be fair.
No,
it's Takeshita, really, isn't it? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's Takeshita.
That would be kind of awesome. You know? But then I'm still hoping against hope that Takeshita ends up winning all of the G1 at this point. I'm still hoping.
It's probably not Takeshita. I'm just fancy booking.
The sensible option is then Yota Tsuji probably has to lose. Well, he will have to lose because he's only just won the title. Tanahashi would be the smart ploy. He gets a singles match. There's a bit of a novelty to it. If he's losing in London, it's not like there'll be people shedding tears and getting disgusted by it. They'll just accept it as part of the Tanahashi retirement tour, and they go, "Yeah, that's fine," and then we'll move on. So, for me, like Tanahashi would be the one to go with, unless you did something like it wouldn't mean as much, but someone like Yuya Uemura. Like, I'd be happy for him to be put into there just to be given like a bit of a showcase. Much in the same way that, say, Clark Connors came in on the first Forbidden Door as a injury sub and like looked fucking great, and then they never did anything with him afterwards. And there was an opportunity to do that. So I think Tanahashi is the one that feels like it's a bit more simplistic. And obviously there's a history between them because he was very big on like when Fletcher came in of saying like, I like you. I think that you've got something to
exactly.
You need to fill out a bit. There's very much like that kind of mentor role that they can play into it. And now, spoiler alert, he's not in the G1 anymore. It feels like you could maybe have some sort of build for that this weekend, this week, but then he's not going to be able to appear in the flesh until the G1 finals are over this weekend. So they may end up holding.
And that's part of the problem with the planning, eh? And they put it here. They chose it. They chose the date. That is a problem.
They're adamant to do it. I mean, they should have done
it's
something
probably not
else.
Excuse either, though, is it? It's Forbidden Door. You probably didn't need a long build. It's just the answer is what's staring us all in the face. New Japan doesn't have the stars. New Japan doesn't have the dream matches anymore, does it? And that's why they've been forced to. You're not, like, say, I heard it from Garrett too. I've heard it from multiple people now. We're just like, to be honest, I was going because it was an AEW show at the O2. Not asked that New Japan are involved or not. It's a nice little treat to get extra. If you get a Tanahashi, for one last time, cool. They'll take that. But outside of that, yeah, it's cool to see Zach, but we see him all the time. That seems to be the attitude most people are having with the show.
Yeah. And I'm looking at these matches, and these are matches that I'm kind of into, particularly if you add those two onto there. You have some sort of, like, I don't know, some sort of scramble match. We can get Mystico out there as well. Like, I think for me,
apparently Mystico's not on the show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not booked. Which is surprised. I thought that's where MJF was going with the whole thing, but we've been thought that a few pay-per-views in a row now, so keeping us guessing.
Yeah, but it feels like the him and Hangman stuff through Dynamite has gone into overdrive for that as well. So it feels like that's gonna be there. But overall, I'm looking at this card and I'm thinking this is perfectly for what I want to watch from an AEW show. This is absolutely fine. I have no real issues with the card per se, because if we get that heavyweight title match, if we get Darby Allin versus John Moxley, and then at All Out you have the big stip match that goes into there as well, I'm fine with that. So, yeah, I think you do want some CMLL presence there. I'd want some Rev Pro presence. I'd want Michael Oku on the show. But at that point, we're getting into the stage of there's 6 matches announced. There's another 2 that I've said there they could add on. There's your 8. Fuck me. Like, do you want to add on like another couple there? Like,
yeah,
it's
true.
It'll be a long old day if that's the case.
Yeah, like I say, Tony Storm Athena obviously is official. Carter's Square is official. Here Syndicate versus whoever wins this tag tourney is official, as well as Mercedes, Alex Windsor, and they've got a 4-way. It's got some CML involvement and Stardom involvement in that there, I guess. Obviously, Kyle Fletcher versus whoever it ends up being, and Zack Sabre Jr., whoever it ends up being as well. Yeah, that's 6 plus 2. Yeah, 10's probably a limit, isn't it? So, yeah, there'll be matches for the pre-show, as Chris Elliott says there as well, and that might involve, some people from other promotions as well, but yeah, it's one of those things. I was going to say, is Forbidden Door dead? No, because it's Tony Khan. Fucking Fyter Fest isn't dead. The name will remain forever. But I think this is probably the way they're going to go now. But I will still, like I say, I'm not saying I don't want to see Nigel Zack as like a dream match. I think that's okay in theory, but I do think it's an indication of where they see this New Japan relationship. And right or wrong, and I think it's mostly right, I still think you could have done a little bit more. And maybe, obviously Gabe Kidd Ospreay being lost from the show is the reason why it looks so opposite to what a Forbidden Door is. But I still feel like you get 1 or 2 more matches in there. I still feel like a Yuka Tsuji is right there as somebody you could use in a big role.
Yeah.
And maybe that will still happen. Does the list get much deeper? Well, I'm going to talk to G1 later as far as other people who want to see in that role. Not necessarily, but you could put a Shingo in an interesting role. There are people on the roster. Not saying they're exciting people, but, like I say, the young lad Yuya Moore or someone like that. A little bit more of that, I think. Not a lot more, but a little bit more probably would have kept in the spirit of Forbidden Door.
That's it, isn't it, really? I mean, I think you can see yourself getting that big sort of like weird mismatched partners multi-person tag that they've quite often
probably
done,
that.
done
Get
on
a lot
these
of
shows.
people on the show that way.
Yeah. Because
Taichi,
lest we forget, these shows, while the build has never been good for any of the Forbidden Doors, the shows themselves have turned out to be really great, with the obvious exception of Moxley versus Naito. Which was that was horrible to watch.
Yeah, it's one of the worst matches I've seen live. That was an indication that Naito needs to be put up for pasture and not brought into AEW, as a rumor we might have started. Might be happening, but hey, there you go. I mean, any thoughts on AEW, like from your little catch up you've done getting ready for today? Like I say, I just feel a bit of a malaise with AEW right now. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's mostly good. It's just fine. It's just kind of there. I think it's just the nature of this pay-per-view cycle, really. I don't feel as connected to like those big feuds as it sounds like you are. Swerve and Okada's nice enough. It's all right. It's fine. Darby and Mox, I think I'm into a little bit more Hangman and MJF's been pretty well done. Obviously MJF is distracted elsewhere, but yeah, I don't know. I was very, very, very AEW pill there going into All In, and just feels like I guess you've got to naturally have those, cool down moments. You can't be that red hot for 365 days a year as much as wrestling promotions might try.
Yeah, I do always think if this is as cold as we're getting AEW, then that's fine. If this is
not even cold, warm, nice and warm, innit? Yeah, it's nice and warm. It's fine. It's still nice and warm.
It's just that we've had other pay-per-view builds, in particular Revolution and All In, and we've had other stuff in between that has been really good and sort of so much strong TV over since for all of 2025, like kind of very much like mirrors WWE, that I think, and this is probably the thing, is I'll have a look at it and I'll be thinking, okay, this is fine. It's kind of Dynamite by numbers. And I listened to you and Gareth talk about it on the weekend show. Like, I would agree. Like, I think it was just like 1 week too many in Chicago. That was an obvious thing. I get reasons for doing it.
Came off the rose, didn't it? By the end, it was like, kind of sick of looking at this place now.
Yeah, exactly. But if that's as cold as it's going to get, then we're fine. Then the water's fine. Jump right in. Like, this isn't that much of an issue. There's still. It's just, I think it's the complications of a card like this where you're having to shoehorn in another company in. If we were watching Wrestle Dream at the O2 and it was just all focused on, or Dynasty, and it was all focused on just AEW, then I think we'd be thinking of it as a hotter period, and you'd be having some like a whole series of feuds that would be coming through on the TV that we'd be moving into there as well. But we're not but we can't for this, and so I think there's the element of the kind of complications that come into the mix. So I've in the main, like when I watched Dynamite, and it was after I'd listened to you guys, I was like, yeah, that was fine. It was like
Gareth was very high, wasn't he? Gareth made me feel more positive than I felt going into it, and I don't feel negative. I just don't feel super positive. Maybe it's just me being so far away. I'm just sad. I'm not going to see us all Forbidden Door weekend. Maybe it's all in JP.
Yeah, there probably is a bit. Yeah, I can get the idea. It should be the only homesick
crap.
Yeah,
maybe you all have a bad time.
We'll have an awful time. Trust me.
That Red Pro show looks brilliant. Looks like they're holding up their end. I think the rest of it doesn't quite feel Wembley-esque. It doesn't feel like a gigantic weekend like Wembley did. So all seriousness, I'm gutted I'm not going, but it's not like I wouldn't have flown home for it. I'll tell you that.
That's it. But I think but
I might for all next year.
Exactly. Good lad. But for Rev Pro are in terms of, we'll talk about it when we end up previewing it on the weekend show in a couple of weeks, but they've put those steps in for setting up their card like very well for the anniversary shows in there. I think it was so Dynamite, I think Gareth has that effect where it's just like, actually, yeah, this is, it's almost like
that's half full, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, it's glass half full, but it's just like it's almost like appreciating it for what we have. It's like this is the kind of wrestling telly that we would have killed for in the mid 2000s, and we're getting it. We've had so much of it over the last 6 years that it's just like, okay, is there sort of like a slightly natural fatigue? But it still means I want to say. I mean, I watched Collision this week, which was weird because of Paul Walter Hauser, who I should add has got another fucking film coming out this weekend. Him and Sydney Sweeney, who, by the way, is the star of the latest culture war to deflect away from Trump being in the Epstein files. Let's be honest, with the whole American Eagle jeans thing.
I don't know what that is. I've just seen it written everywhere, and I don't want to know what it is, to be honest.
No, the key would be don't fall for it. Keep on at the Epstein stuff. You want rid of that prick. Keep on at that. And if you are a Republican who likes Trump, it's like, why are you defending him on this? Because clearly you hate fucking children. So, there we are. Anyway, that was an unnecessary rant that no one needed halfway through this. And I thought Collision was very collision-y, let's be honest. But with Paul Walter Hauser on commentary, who wasn't great, I get the commercial reasons for having him in there because he's in 2 of the top 3 films in the States, for the love of Christ, in Fantastic Four, which I think you saw.
Which is good. I liked it. Went to see it. Yeah. Enjoyed it.
He's
good at it. He's genuinely good.
He's a good actor. He's in that. I haven't seen Naked Gun yet. I mean, it won't be a film I pay for. I'll tell you that for free. But
yeah, I'll be watching a bookie copy of that at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But I will watch.
That should be straight to Netflix, shouldn't it? It really should be. Feels like that type of film.
It's very weird to see comedies in cinemas. Most comedies now feel like they go straight to streaming. But there'll be there'll be versions of it. Just to see Liam Neeson doing this kind of role. The last time I saw him do that was bloody Extras. No, not Extra. Life's Too Short with Warwick Davis and Ricky Gervais. But yeah, the idea of him doing commentary on there as well is kind of hilarious. And it looked like somebody stole my thunder of he kicked off at the wrong podcaster in terms of Brian Alvarez.
Yeah, I don't know if people have seen this, but as I have people seeing this, I got to send this by 4 different people today, JP. Hoping I bring it up with you. But literally, yeah, he was terrible. No, he was. He was bad. It's literally because Brian and Vinny pointed out that he was bad on their podcast. He's done like this rant. He's literally gone into the photos. This, again, Oscar-winning actor, JP, person who's got many other things to do right now, went into the collage or Instagram collage app on his phone, made a collage of all his favorite wrestling moments, and then listed them off as all of the reasons why you shouldn't be so mean to him. And bringing up that he's the guy who rep PWG to Clint Eastwood, apparently. He's the guy who helped wrestlers get agents and managers. He's the guy who, when Cody Rhodes left WWE, took him to lunch and wrote him a web series. Didn't know about that. He's the guy who wrote a film for Edge. Okay, we should blame him for that. He's the guy who put AEW in his movie Queen Pins. Never seen it. I believe him. He's the guy who pitched the wrestlers coming back for the funeral scene and regroup. To be fair, actually, he's done a lot here. I'll leave whatever, Fozzie. No one cares. He brought his Gold Globe statue to a show and took a good car shot from Jeff Jarrett. He's the guy who name-dropped Matt Cardona in an Emmy speech. Again, I'm not sure if all of these make him a babyface or a heel, JP. He's the guy fighting to get MLW media rights deal. Sounds like he's doing that right now. There you go. There's a thumbs up for you. He's the guy who name drops independent wrestlers on national TV and puts over indie organizations on Chris Van Vliet and Helwani. He's the guy who paid for wrestling classes and tour bookings. And according to Cage Match, Brian Alvarez had 76 matches in 20 days. I've had 20 in less than 20. And I've trained, tried, failed, won, sweat, traveled with stiff money and bled. And I did it while I've had a family and an acting career. Yeah, that's the problem, mate. Title says it all, Observer. Now go straight. Thank Dave Meltzer for your existence. Ends this promo against Brian Alvarez. Are we getting worked? Are we getting a Brian Alvarez? Is California Love going to start playing when we get Brian Alvarez versus Paul Walter Hauser? I don't know. How many of those things should we be thankful for, JP? And how many should we be blaming him? What do you reckon that PWG conversation went on with Clint Eastwood? What was the context of that? Or you really love this Young Bucks 6-man? What was said?
Clint Eastwood is like 91 years old. Do you really think if you talk to him about a California independent fucking super indie promotion, he's going to look at you blankly there and just go, what the fuck are you on about? I was in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Unforgiven.
It's like literally, I used to do it when I was a kid to make like my nan and granddad. Oh yeah, this wrestling's brilliant. This Psychosis one's great in WCW. And my nan's going, oh, is he? Yeah. Oh yeah, he sounds great. Trying to explain the Montreal screw job to them, It's it's stuff you do when you're a kid, not when you're a 40-year-old actor.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like me turning up like at my nan when she was in a care home and going, right, All Japan from the 90s and just putting it on, just like there's no.
You sure you didn't?
No, I didn't. She was the one who I gave her this is when all the dementia really had kicked in. I gave her a copy of WWF magazine. And she just started reading it out loud and read this entire story about the Nasty Boys and the Hart Foundation having their match at, was it WrestleMania 7? Like, just went into like loads of detail about that. It was
that would be number 4, yeah. I had WrestleZone open and like the bottom story was like Tori Wilson in her panties and my nan started reading it out loud. And I had to literally close the browser dead quick. Like, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. R.I.P. Nanny Joyce. She was a lovely woman. Sorry. I was scarred by that, honestly. Who knows what she thought I was doing with that computer? I was just looking at WrestleZone.
Well, it's just the idea of your nan reading WrestleZone. Like, fucking hell. I don't know. It'd just be like you're giving my granddad, do you want to read some online onslaught? Like, just have a look at that instead there as well. Like, how the fucking hell? That's just mental. What are those things should we be grateful for? I mean, the MLW TV rights deal, if he pulls that off, and that's a big fucking if.
It's a big one.
For that being there. Don't get me wrong. I get he loves wrestling and he loves going to show. God love him for that. When he says about his acting career, he's doing it a bit of a disservice. This is a man, you're talking about a supporting role in massive Hollywood films. like of which there's 3 in 3 weeks. A Marvel film, a comedy, a remake of a very famous comedy film, and then appearing in a film with Sydney Sweeney. Like, fucking hell. This is not like, oh, he's just a jobbing actor who's doing a bit. This isn't Stephen Amell. Like, we are well beyond that. So my incredulous thing is, why are you doing it? Why are you being stiffed by a promoter? That should not be a situation you've got yourself into, because you shouldn't be needing to wrestle Colby Carino, who I hope does get better, but Colby Carino in a fucking high school, and then going, well, I've not been paid $50. Why are you there, mate? Like, seriously, or why do you need this much? You don't need, you've got the highest paying sweet gig.
Put some respect on his name, which he doesn't mention, by the way.
Which I love.
Instagram post doesn't make a progress at all.
Of which I forgive all of the other stuff, the fact that he doesn't mention it as well. And we'll lose it in a multi-man match, and that's fine. And this is just like, it's just fucking wild he's on there. Whereas really what he should be doing is kind of what Big Boom AJ is doing. It should be that kind of a deal. He has a match with QT Marshall on a pre-show. There's a bit of novelty value to it. He wins it. We move on. And he might sell a few tickets. And he does a pre-show. Like, that kind of... Which, as soon as he appeared on that... As soon as QT Marshall came in a shot on that pre-show, I was like, oh, right, we're going that direction, are we? Straight away. It is like... I cannot get my head around this. It's like, just buy a fucking promotion, mate. If you love this so much, you can afford it, just buy one. Buy one, set it up. Buy Wrestling Revolver for shits and giggles. Like, rather
my
than
favorite
this.
thing is here in this story, like, literally all the comments are just wrestlers. It's like Joey Janela going, you the man. It's, to be fair, it's Brian Alvarez saying, oh, so you beat Filthy Tom and now you're a tough guy. So again, I think maybe part of this is aware. But you've got like your Matt Hardys, your Chris Jerichos, your James Storms, your Tom... Matt Cardona's, all kinds, going, yeah, man, tell them. Like, how dare people watch a television show that you're on and say you were bad on it when you were bad on it? Because he was bad. He was bad on Collision. Even if it's become aware, I think the shoot, Brian and Vinny were very much correct. He was terrible. Yeah. It was monotone. It was just like it was like when you, speaking of Progress, when you had Jim Smallman doing commentary on those early Progress shows, and it was just what he thinks a commentator sound like. Play that back, mate. You ain't good. And it's fine. You might be better next time. You know.
The thing was, I understood the reason for having him on there. That I get it from a co-promotion type perspective. Here's a guy who's in Fantastic Four and Naked Gun. Like, I get that in its cynical sense. Having commentate on one match, if need be, just one match. It doesn't need to be anything else. And he's out there for the show, and I'm like, fuck. And it's not like Schiavone's great at sort of like leading the commentary booth as well. And Nigel's got this whole, like, obviously he's competing, you know, he's going to be in a match next week that'll see him going to fucking Forbidden Door. So you just think, what a weird, like, kind of setup for it as well. But in terms of the other stuff that was on Collision, I enjoyed Fletcher and Tomohiro Ishii. What a Collision review. Just a Paul Walter Hauser, just another excuse for another row there. I thought Carl Fletcher, Tomohiro Ishii was really good fun. Like, for what it was, I was completely fine with it. It was, you know, Fletcher getting a win under his belt and being impressed with Fletcher, who I'm glad. I know it's one of the other stories we've got on here that he signed a new long-term deal. Like, that's a guy
we can get into the news,
that you need to keep him around on there. Like, I mean, I really enjoyed the match with Dustin Rhodes that he had. This one, like, I thought was like good TV wrestling, and he's just lived up to it. His promo ability's improved. He's one of those people who's really improved being alongside Don Callis, and you know, he'll be in plenty of awards chat when it comes to most improved wrestler of the year. He's got to be up there. He's got to be one of the guys. There's a couple of people in there. I know you're having like the Ricochet conversation about this and going, well, he's another guy who needs to be like in and around.
You're on the awards, he'll come up.
Yeah, these are a couple of guys that are hoping to see come into the mix. I mean, Ricochet's match against Juice Robinson was just, I mean, it was a match. I mean, there's stuff on here that's just, like I say, it's very.
We probably don't need to go into it, mate. We can just do it.
Exactly. It was Collision. The end. Yeah. It was like, what the hell do you expect at this stage? But yeah, in terms of some of the other news on there, I mentioned already about Carl Fletcher signing a new long-term deal to stay.
Which he should be doing. Sign guys like that up, you know, absolutely.
big money deal. Do you know what? He deserves it. He's earned the right to it. He feels. I feel a lot more bullish about him. I probably wouldn't have done if we've been talking about this late 2024. I just thought he'd go back into the mix, and particularly after he had those big matches with Ospreay. But that's not really happened. Like, he hasn't kind of gone away, and I think it's a difficult one knowing the situation of what they did at All In order to get around the Adam Cole stuff. But in some ways, giving him that big kind of moment when he beats Dustin Rhodes on TV, it's like they got away with it ultimately.
I don't agree. I don't think it was that big. I feel like maybe it's the Dustin injury made them go quicker with it, but I don't know. I still think Kyle Fletcher winning the on the AEW's biggest show in the face of a bad story, just going out there and have a great match with Daniel Garcia and winning the belt. I think that would have done more for him than a collision match that most people didn't see. But again, I feel like that maybe that they have bigger plans for that. And Dustin's obviously taking time off now, isn't he, for his two knees to get them sorted. So maybe that fast forwarded it. But the match itself was great. I don't disagree there.
It's a miracle he's gotten to this point. We're talking about Dustin Rhodes matches in 2025. Like, that's just still ridiculous there as well. But yeah, he's only 26 years old. It's a multi-year deal, so you're assuming 4 to 5 years, which is, getting him in his absolute prime in there as well. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing for them to do. We have an update on the All In Texas pay-per-view buys in there as well. So final attendance around 29,000. It is done. Apparently it's risen. Originally it was like 175,000 is what they were saying for it. 180 to 185,000 buys in there. Still the fourth best-selling AEW pay-per-view ever. Although the estimated buys for Revolution sit around 180,000, so it's pretty close in there as well. You're still looking at those numbers. Like for pay-per-view, which obviously TKO are completely getting out of. Think of how much 180,000
is it?
No, talk about the share of that. You're talking about like a 3 million odd gate. You're probably talking about their cut finally will be somewhere in the 5 to 6 million range. But that's a really profitable night, even with staging and other stuff like that into the mix. That's a hell of a night. So that's a really good, strong number.
And fourth biggest AEW pay-per-view in history, at this point in 2025. Tells you, doesn't it? That business model isn't that. I did think it might crack the top three, but obviously behind the CM Punk All Out, behind the first All In, behind Sting's retirement. Thought it might creep past Sting's retirement, Revolution 2024, but still, nothing to sniff at. And gigantic number, just shows you there's still money on the table.
Absolutely. Big number for them. If it had been quite a drop off to fourth place, if it'd gone down to like say 150, 160,000, and there's this like the fact it's in the conversation around third place is still like a really good, strong sign, just in terms of that like stabilization, which 2025 has been about for them as well. Final one of the other stories on here, this is a bit of a non-story really. Final Battle, that's going to still be a thing, mate. You'll be glad to know. It'll be in Columbus, Ohio. I know you're excited to know about that. Your old stomping ground at the GalaxyCon Columbus Convention. There is the Columbus Convention Center. It is going to be on there on Friday, December 5th, and Collision's going to be there for Saturday, December 6th. So what's the chances, because it's a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, that he just gets moved? Because that seems to always be the
tends to be what they do, doesn't it? Yeah. Wouldn't plan your Christmas
knows.
around it, folks. I'm trying to plan my Christmas around Wales End, but we'll figure it all out.
Yeah. Oh, I think you said it to Matty as well. It's like it's good for the podcast as it falls on like a Saturday and it's quite early on and it doesn't fall.
Yeah, still plenty of break between that and New Year's. Yeah, there's time for us to review it, which is obviously the most important thing when these companies put their pay-per-view schedules out. That's the big thing. The podcasters, won't somebody think of the podcasters? Apparently, WWE on it. That was another story in WWE. They're not going to be doing more 2-night shows. Meltzer was saying. He thinks that because they've signed a deal for 12 shows, that's what you get, and that's that.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, I don't know how this new show coming up in September is going to fit into that, but yeah, maybe get more of them rather than less.
Yeah, that's a really interesting. I mean, God, thank God those 2-night shows are fucking. Although we're going to end up with probably some on wheels.
Maybe they'll end up one less.
Oh god, you know that if they try and do like if WWE tried to do 9 matches on the card, just think of how many adverts you'd have to sit through to get through those 9 matches. God, if we thought we complained about AEW shows, like that would send us over the fucking edge. But yeah, they'll be doing all right at Galaxy Con this year, whatever the fuck Galaxy Con is. Certainly not like the big. It's not Comic Con, is it? It's not the big one there as well. Yeah, and I think that's it.
Watch it turn out that tens of thousands of people go from all around the world to go see. Big business, these cons, mate. Used to be a thing just the nerds did.
To Columbus, Ohio, though. Like it's hardly the most glamorous location, is it? There?
To John Moxley.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that's it for AEW, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously got Dynamite coming up this weekend. Unbelievably, you say Forbidden Door next week. We'll have plenty of Forbidden Door coverage as far as a spotlight on it and weekend show goes, and the review as well. And obviously on location stuff as well. Maybe even from a bed somewhere in central London with Gareth and Matty doing grapple lads over that weekend as well. So very excited for that. It will be. I think once the week comes next week, it's gonna feel like a big week. I think at least for us in I say in our part of the world, by spiritual parts of the world. I think we're all gonna. It's gonna hit people. I think that it's next week, and it's just gonna. I think it's gonna whet the appetite, isn't it, for all in next year, and to be back at Wembley again.
That's it, and I think you know what, just deliver a cracking fucking show, and you'll get those people who've turned up, the 16,000 odd that will be at Forbidden Door. You'll get them going to Wembley, and you'll at least have some of those sort of things like set in stone. It's the quality. That's all it needs to be. It just needs to be high quality show. Speaking of high quality shows, yeah.
Well, this is what I wanted to leave us some time for. I was looking at the clock, thinking, "God, we got to talk some G1, JP." Actually, now that we're here, I'm like, "Do we have to?" But yes, it is also the G, as well as Triple Mania. And it's the proper Triple Mania this week, isn't it? It's not the fake one. It's the proper date one. So we got that this weekend. We've also got, like I say, we're looking ahead to Forbidden Door. We got the G1 final this weekend, JP. That'll be what weekend show will be dedicated to this week as we preview and get excited. I bet you that was top of your agenda, mate, while you were away in Turkey getting these G1 matches in, and bet you were sat there watching them on the plane on your way back and working your way. I mean, if our Discord's anything to go by, like everybody started very well intentioned, and now everyone's kind of like, "Yeah, I'm skipping through. Oh, this was all right." And to be fair, there's been a couple of matches this week, particularly actually, that again, young wrestlers in mind that were actually good. But then there's a lot you've got to get through as a slog. And I'm looking at you, Evil. I'm looking at House of Torture in general. At least Evil gets a reaction, not like the other scrubs that are in his stable. That's the only nice thing I'll ever say about Evil, because he's still fucking crap. That's another match. I've saw people saying they didn't mind. That's another match. Nah, it's still fucking crap. There's been a lot of fucking crap as well, and it's been a tough one to stick with this year, and that's been the case the last couple of years. But it's not like there haven't been those little shining moments, and all of a sudden, JP, we find ourselves very much near the end. How did you get on, all seriousness, with we're trying to catch up on?
I mean, I watched fucking 0% of G1 was on holiday. It was when I got back on the Saturday, and I was like, it was at a point when the kids had gone to sleep, and we were just like packing away stuff. And I thought, well, I'll put the G1 on, and Vicky fell asleep on the sofa really early one night, and I just went, just gonna binge a load of this stuff, which I did. And the fact it's all so 50-50, some of which born out of necessity.
Basically, everyone's on 8 points, aren't they? Like everyone.
Yeah. You've got these playoffs.
It's the world's worst Premier League. It's the world's worst mid-table.
And then you've got this injury. So you get all these 50-50 matches. I mean, the thing that stood out to me, I want to say, was it day 13? That appeared to be the one, and it was in Kurikam. So it had that really good, like quite intimate feel, obviously, that Kurikan has. And it was where Yuya Uemura and Ryohei Oiwa had their match, which, if we're going to be honest and compare by the high heady standards of G1's past, wouldn't have been seen as being like this like it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't a match of the year contender, but
it was fresh, wasn't it?
It was fresh, and I really enjoyed it because of the freshness. And I was more willing, and it was the fact of the crowd dynamics I found really interesting, because it was clearly set up with like Yuya Uemura as being like the kind of, he's a bit further down the road, and he's a bit more flashy just in terms of like the ring gear and stuff. But the crowd liked Oiwa as well, and I just was there watching this, going, this is what this G1 should be for me. It should be two young guys fighting like tooth and nail to kind of claw their way towards like that bit of recognition and getting into the playoffs.
We're the next up.
We're the next ones there. And I really enjoyed it on that level. I enjoyed it because the crowd liked it. I enjoyed the work for it as well. I even enjoyed the main event that followed in terms of David Finlay and Yota Tsuji. Because
David Finlay's had a couple. That's last week that I've been into.
He's one of the guys who I kind of forget at times. It's like, because it's latter end Bullet Club stuff, it's very easy to just like write him off as like that stuff shit because it's such a passe stable and brand name. But he's actually someone who has had good matches, feels like there's like at least enough of an investment, and there's that core element of a New Japan fan base who are going to give him a bit more time simply because he's come up through their system. So he is in essence one of those. Obviously at some point he'll be off, but him and Yota Tsuji I thought had a good main event. Not as good as the Yu Yamura Rohei Oiwa match, but like I watched that and I was like, that's a bit more of the G1 that I like to see. I can at least see the reasoning behind David Finlay. So those are the things that kind of like stood out to me. But then there were days when I watched it. I want to say, it was day 15 on Sunday, and my eyes just fucking glazed over. Large sweat. It was the Evil Tanahashi match, which was just, it was like, what a
Evil going over that would just felt. I mean, they're using it for heat, aren't they? But that's Tanahashi being selfless to a fault. Tanahashi's elimination comes from losing to Evil and all of the bullshit that surrounds it. Like it's honest. It's like watching Benny Hill now. It's like watching a bad comedy sketch. It's like, here comes Bad Luck Fale. They're all gonna run around in a circle and throw dust in eyes, and like it's just, and the referee's gonna fall over, and then they're gonna hit the referee again. It's just and seen it done in slow motion, like here where Tanahashi can't even, because of his bad knees, get in spot at the right moments as well. It was awful. It really was, and like a lot of I think that was a bit of a coupon bust. Maybe Connor can say in the G1 pick'ems, but like, yeah, I think a lot of people were like, all right, well, they're not gonna give one of Tanahashi's losses to Evil. No, they gave one of Tanahashi's losses to Evil, and heat, quote unquote, was the result. Because the promo. What do you want?
Oh, I mean, how much? If Tanahashi's not going through, and there's good reasons to not have him go through, like just because of the physical condition and the quality of match that's expected that he can't live up to. Him doing a sub 10 minute
for the
match
semis though, he could have went out in the semis.
Could have done, could have got into the playoff. But if he'd like lost to, say, a Yota Tsuji or a Yuya Yamura, someone who's just like a young guy on the come up, where there's a bit more passing of the torch stuff, I'd be more accepting. But it was Evil, and I don't like. It has been noted by New Japan themselves that House of Torture does not increase any business. That business has gone down since they've been doing this, and they've done nothing to remedy it. Even Tanahashi, when he took over as president, and that was announced, he was like, "Well, these are the things we need to get into place. These are the stuff we need to listen to our audience about." And I was sat there going, if Evil won the G1. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a part of me them thinking, but he'll get his comeuppance at like Wrestle Kingdom in the main event. He'll sneak his way to beating Zack at King of Pro Wrestling, and then and it's just like, what a fucking nightmare scenario for that. And it's like, who wants that outside of the bookers, outside of Gedo and Dick Togo? Who are these people who are asking for it? Because it doesn't appear to be their audience there as well.
And I don't think it's Evil's fault. But is he a symptom? Is he the cause? He's not the cause, but he's a symptom of this era, isn't he? He's a representative of this era. Like it's him doing these bullshit matches, and this bullshit stable with these bullshit wrestlers in is all part of like it's just that colours. That is New Japan the last 5 years. It's that, innit? Sums it up really. That's what they're going with, and continue to go with.
And it's
with everything falling around them.
And it's why I have
you picked Evil.
I did. In the pickup. Yeah. Because I just had this bad feel. I think he's going deep into this. I wouldn't surprise me if he's in the final. Like I say, if he won it, I wouldn't be surprised. But like, I look at this, and you're thinking to yourself, this is why when there's like you mentioned about the big bad AEW, like bullying New Japan. It's why I don't have any sympathy with New Japan, because I go, they've got their own problems, and those problems are very much self-inflicted. Their lack of talent creation or star creation over the last few years, saddled with shit gimmicks. Think of a Ren Narita, came in as basically a Katsuyori Shibata clone. Would it have worked? We don't know. But it would have been nice if they stuck with it. Instead, they stuck him in House of Torture. And it's just like, I think, I kind of look at him and think, you're the best of a very, very bad bunch, but you're still kind of unwatchable to me. Sho Tanaka was someone who I was enthusiastic about. Just fucking killed him off. If they just released him tomorrow, I wouldn't care. And this feels like this is the horrible state of affairs that they've gotten themselves into, and it's so self-inflicted. And I think them getting a free pass because of frankly a preconceived and somewhat justifiable AEW being the senior partner, but it's like, well, AEW are putting on better matches with more interesting wrestlers than what New Japan can provide. There's isolated cases. If this had been the year where it was just all of the young guys going through, I think I'd probably have a bit more faith. But even when we talk about the B block and because we've already got Evil through, we've got Yota Tsuji and David Finlay, which I'm fine with. But then it's when we get onto the B block, it's Zack is already through, and it'll probably be Takeshita and probably Shota Umino. And I'm there thinking, Jesus Christ, like, it's just like, when can we get rid of Shota Umino and Evil is where my mind is at. Or just go the whole hog and turn Umino into like this, not joining House of Torture, but just turn him into a fucking mega heel. And I think weirdly, that's the one thing they should be doing.
In beating Takeshita, just maybe I proper roll my eyes. I was like, all right, here we are. When we mean the young guys, we don't mean that one. That's
no.
pretty much the conversation, isn't it?
Not this character version of him, which is just so fucking bland. It's like they learned nothing from Wrestle Kingdom.
Like I say, as I'm with you, I hated Evil Tanahashi because, again, there's unbelievably there's only been one show since me and Gareth recorded on Friday, which feels wrong, but it is actually the case because obviously the last show is tomorrow, or last regular group action is tomorrow. But yeah, from that show, Dave Finlay, Yuya Uemura, I actually thought was, again, probably because it came in the shadow of Evil and Tanahashi, which just that last check, just had a quick look on Cage Match, 1.58. On Grapple, what would that be? A 0.75? Yeah, you could do 0.75 on Grapple. Jesus, like just by comparison, they felt like world beaters. And I enjoyed David Finlay in the match. I thought he was good. But that's the level we're at now. I'm praising David Finlay. But Yuya Uemura has been a bright spot. He has, genuinely. And that's why people were doing somersaults the other day for a match where you're not wrong, 4-star match at a push, but it felt fresh, it felt new. It's funny, like, obviously Callum Newman, Yota Tsuji was a bit of a disappointment on that show that didn't really get going. But it's funny, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but Joe's in Japan right now, isn't he? I wish I was there when I see his photos, and then I see these G1 cards and go, yeah, I'm glad I'm not going till October. I didn't rush and pay for that expensive flight and rip up my other travel plans. But yeah, he said he was in a bar in Osaka, I think it was, talking to some locals about Callum Newman.
He was in a wrestling bar. This is where he, like, I want to break it on here. He heard there was
the Naito thing,
the Naito joining AEW thing from the guy who owned it. He said he's a mate of Naito. But he was sat in this bar having a beer. We're not. I hope to God it doesn't happen. But he was there with all his wrestling toys, and there was a telly on with the G1. He was having a pint. He was like living the dream, and I was like,
just like the footy's on.
Yeah. Just like fucking like you when you'll find a way of watching, was it Everton Leeds next Monday, and you just be like, yeah,
Bull Rush, mate, in real life. That's what I'm going to be looking for.
Exactly, it's incredible. Just like he says, like living the dream, and I was like, I'd have killed people to be in that position in 2017, 2018. It would have been like that old meme of that England-Wales game, and they used to just put the stuff on the big screen, like people who just attach. Was it a card of taking off the fucking trousers at that period of time when people losing their shit? It would have felt like that at that point in time. But
he was saying, wasn't he, that like obviously the locals, their mind were blown that he knew who all the wrestlers were, he knew about the G1, he knew about New Japan. And then I think they were picking his brain about Callum Newman. I don't know if he had good or bad things to say about young Callum, but apparently they were big fans. So there you go. You got some local fans.
Yeah, it's fucking. I think. I mean, Callum Newman's not had the. It's been an okay tournament, but I think I just. It's that 50-50 nature of this. I think just it feels like every match is just like, well, they could just have it go either way because they've got a direction they're going to go in, and there's no Gabe Kidd, so it feels like all bets are off. There's no real logic for who beats who. They're just going to have that fucking regardless, aren't they?
So I'm just looking at this. So what? Dave Finlay, Yuri Mura are on 10. So's like Bolton. If you'd asked me, I'd say he's on 6. Like, how's he on 10? Sonada 8, Yuta Tsuji 10, Callum Newman 8, Evil 12. Like, yeah, just a big mid-table, isn't it?
It's a massive mid-table, and there's no one standing out. Which means normally you think of like a competitive title race is you have a load of sides, but in some ways, really what you want is 3, maybe 4 in like a Premier League, because that keeps it exciting. You've got other choices, but there's a clear quality.
Spoken like a true Arsenal fan.
Oh yeah,
you don't let anyone in our group. No, Sky 4, mate. That's what it is. It's not a Sky 6. It's a 4.
Oh, we're going to get back into me ranting about VAR from next week.
Why is it always the teams in red? What's that about? Why do people gravitate to teams in red? Can't stand it. Seen a lot of Liverpool kids knocking around here, unfortunately. So the whole display of the new Liverpool kit at this Bangkok place, it was it was
hooky kits.
Mm.
Hooky kits
no, real,
as well.
Real ones, yeah, real ones. I did actually see a Landon Donovan USA shirt. That was also, I enjoyed that. That was my little Everton for the day. And like I said, I saw a little somebody put like an Arsenal sticker on my local coffee shop. So some representation here too.
Do you know Landon Donovan does a podcast with Tim Howard?
Yeah.
About the MLS.
Yeah, David Moyes on. Yeah, not on go. Everyone's podcasting now. They're all in. But I love those lads. I love there. I'm not so into Tim Howard for some reason. There was just something about him didn't jive with me. I don't know what it is. Obviously, club legends and stuff, amazing goalie. But I used to sit in the Gladys behind him. I just thought he was a bit of a knob when I had my season ticket for a few years. But Landon Donovan, that's the Evans. He came with 2 loan spells for like 3 months each, and he was fucking brilliant.
Love it.
Loved him. What a bloke.
I prefer the hipster choice of Brian McBride. Like when you get him on, he just appeared to be like just the American Chris Wood. Just like goes in there like bull in a fucking china shop. He'll get you 5 to 6 league goals, but you just go and then he'll piss off back to the States when the MLS.
Back when it was exotic to get an American in, you know.
Yeah,
there are no Clint Dempsey's, you know. It's a different world.
Yeah, it's a different world now. There's Americans all over the place when it comes to football.
Now Jack Grealish is the new star, mate. Can't wait. It's going to be a great season.
What mischief is he going to get up to in Liverpool? Because knowing what Liverpool is like, mate, he'll be in the crazy horse. Is where he'll be.
Crazy house. I think Gareth said that he was doing he did his sign, he did his medical in heebie-jeebies. Yeah, that sounds like a great show.
Yeah. And the thing is, in Liverpool's, you can't. From what I've learned from you guys, you can't get away with shit.
No,
like you cannot.
Very small city centre, mate. We'll all see it.
Yeah,
I remember honestly one of my memories of like going out was seeing like Sterling when he got broke through in the Liverpool team and was like 17, and he was just going into like some strip club, and it was just like, well, I guess he plays for Liverpool, so that's fine. Underage, but whatever.
Fucking great. If cream was still a thing, he'd be there every night. Spot on,
Of course he would.
Oh God, fucking.
It's going to be boss though, isn't it? How entertaining's this year going to be? Look, we're not very good, you know, and he's better than every other player we've got. With Njai as close second. It's gonna, but whether he plays well or badly, or it ends up in tabloid headlines, what a fucking fun year it's going to be. I can't wait.
I think Dewsbury Hall's going to be a player for you. I feel like I should be saving this when we do our draft on Thursday, but I actually think he's going to have a really good year.
$5 million in FPL.
Yeah,
get him in.
Good.
Based on that friendly, get him in. Yeah. Depending on where they put Grealish, get him in.
Yeah, I think it's just people are going to like just they'll be dazzled by Grealish. I'm assuming he's going to be like 7.5 million. Or
no, he's 6.5 to be fair.
Okay, that's interesting. I still got a couple of choices to make before my final team for this, but we'll be talking hopefully about this on Thursday.
I'll share that for plugs at the end. Yeah,
we're doing it.
Yeah, no Grapple Live this week. Obviously, we were doing the live. I don't think anyway. We'll be doing unless something changes, but we're doing the live FPL draft on Thursday. Plus, there will be a little bonus video that we go in place of the live interview, maybe. But I won't announce it. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, I think people will enjoy.
Fingers crossed. So that'll be.
And there's our G1 review.
And there's the G1 review.
We'll do a proper preview on midfield. Because obviously this is all might date horribly tomorrow morning when people watch the Wednesday show, but probably not.
I think it's just when we see what the lay of the land is on Sunday, we'll have a much better idea of okay, right. This is what New Japan have gone with. This is what the position they're putting themselves into, and we'll know exactly who. I think the best case scenario is Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji in the final. I think that's that for me would be the ideal scenario for one of those guys. hopefully Takeshita win the belt. Yota Tsuji challenges him at the Dome. I think that's the best case scenario. But it's New Japan in 2025, so I have like no faith that is going to be what happens there.
As good as it could get. Well, we'll see. Well, there you go. There's the G1, and we'll talk more of it on the weekend show, and of course we'll be reviewing the final on Spotlight. We think Monday next week, JP. It's your birthday next Tuesday, so
yeah, it is.
Can't have you on your birthday. We could. It'd be a nice bit. Saying that, at a certain age, does it really matter? I'm sure it does. The kids will want to spoil you, so probably a Monday Spotlight, I imagine. So I just
want to be left to fucking sleep. That's all I want. That's all I want as a birthday present, and the Arsenal away shirts. Both of them look fucking lovely. The second and the third kits. So. Fingers out. If I forget those and just get you have a lie in, that's me fucking sorted. So I'll be happy with that.
Great day.
And hopefully, am I allowed to go on to
you
the
only
other
turned 40 once, mate.
Oh, exactly. Well, Gareth had his 35th birthday the other day, so happy birthday to him.
It happens to us all, mate. It happens to us all. It'll be me and Matty soon.
I should ask, do we have a Pickham's table to hand of where we are?
I don't think so. Duncan Connor's updated it. He's in the chat, but I think he's a bit behind. I'm not winning, so I don't care.
Go on, coin flip.
I think you're in the running, though. I think you are.
Which is a damning indictment, really, that my cynicism can win through on this, because I've just gone with... I've almost gone with
scenario?
Worst case scenario, and it appears to be happening. Go on, coin flip. It would just make a mockery of the entire... But I think... Even across the board, even in other G1 Pick'em contests, they must have just gone to shit because of the Gabe Kidd injury. It's just thrown everything out, and just they're so fucking mismatched on there as well. But something else I'd like to get for my birthday, but I'm very much doubtful I'll get to see it, is the Sabu documentary, because I've got to wait till September. It's going to be premiering on Kinema, whatever the fuck that is. It's a streaming service, apparently. And it's going to be coming out Monday, September 15th in there. And it follows in their words, the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac in his final days as he prepared for his retirement match with Joey Janela at Spring Break 9 in there as well on it. Joe Clark is the director. Feels like he should be playing like Sunderland as a left back for $4 million in FPL, but there you go. Rob Van Dam is a producer in the... Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, you'll need to make sure when you're talking to Mickey Hamflet, what are the good Sunderland tips to go for? He'll probably say that Lafee bloke in there. But yeah, this is coming out.
I didn't realise that wasn't on screen. There you
go. God knows what the level of this is going to be. I mean, I think I saw the trailer briefly when it first came out on like social media there as well. I mean, I just hope it's a fitting tribute to him, even if the match they're going to talk about, and no doubt they'll be showing some of the match, given the fact of his passing very soon afterwards, it's probably going to be quite bittersweet, but it'll be interesting to see,
say the least,
how it is and how it fits into the mechanics of that as well. So there's that, but that's like, we've spoken a lot about Paul Walter Hauser and his role in MLW. Not the only fucking big like star who's gone in there, and this is again a guy who I think he's a big star as well. Danny McBride, who has something called Don Gato Tequila. Now, I saw some of Blood and Thunder because it was on YouTube, and again, I was just doing other shit and I had it on in the background because I don't have to care about match quality in MLW. And I didn't even have the match between Dijak and Matt Riddle. They just went into a Dijak Mads Kruger fucking impromptu match instead. But yeah, Danny McBride and Don Gato Tequila are partnering with MLW for a November event in South Carolina, Charleston, where he lives. Do you know Danny McBride? You've seen much? Have you seen Eastbound?
Yeah, Eastbound and Down, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you ever watch The Righteous Gemstones?
I've never seen it. Kurt Bauer used to say he was a writer on Eastbound and Down, though, and everyone looked it up on IMDb, and his name doesn't appear anywhere. No. So that's what I always associate that with. Never really watched that, though.
No chance that he was a writer on. It feels like it's pure Danny McBride, and Righteous Gemstones I would highly recommend. I think it's an absolute cracking show. And it's quite sweet because it's about a family of preachers, and you think it'd be quite cynical and cutting and nasty, but it isn't. It's also got, I've never seen as many cocks in a mainstream TV program as this one.
I wonder where you're going there.
There's just like naked. There is just like, and it's quite often like ordinary men being naked in righteous demonstration. Again, a program about preachers or family preachers. John Goodman's in it as well.
Great man.
But yeah, he's involved in MLW.
I always think he's dead because he died in Tremor. But he's very much alive.
Yeah, no, he's alive. He's looking all right because he must be knocking on a bit. The last thing I saw him in was it like Kong versus Godzilla? No, King Kong Skull Island. He's in that. He's very good in that as well. But yeah, Danny McBride is teaming up there. This will be the influence of Paul Walter Hauser again, all over the fucking place. There's a quote here from Court Bauer. Thanks to Danny McBride for going the extra mile. Turns out Don Gator Tequila is a hell of a negotiator. They're the ultimate super team up, and Charleston is where our story in the South takes hold. And
PSI wrote, he's bounding down.
Honestly to God, he's making it to be like, honestly, incredible in there. He's expected to make an appearance at this event. He's not going to be wrestling. I think Danny McBride is smart for it. But then if you see stuff in Eastbound and Down, we've had the Grapple Charlie appearance now. If we see that,
I heard them.
He's running in now. If you see,
that means we run overtime.
Yeah, if you think about the Ric Flair, like Will Ferrell stuff that they had into the mix, then yeah, like it makes sense. Danny McBride and wrestling, he always feels like he's quite well connected into a lot of that stuff. So yeah, God bless. Yeah. So yeah, that's MLW for you as he brings in the boy.
MLW itself is an I'm finally story. Hello, mate. Yeah, all right.
Always.
Good to see
you wave.
And an appearance.
Wave and say hello. No, you're just going to hide your face instead, are you?
Hey, that hair's coming in. Looks good, mate.
Oh, it's proper like, mate, honestly, dare I say it's strawberry blonde.
I was going to say, I was wondering if it was the lighting, but, you know, it's a good colour, you know.
It's surprisingly light. He's got his mother's hair.
I've still got it. Hello.
Oh, hello. That looked fancy. You dropped that in at the end like a bombshell, didn't you?
I've got to look up for Hamper tomorrow, haven't I? Even though I'll wear a hat.
I was going to say, I always assume you go to sleep in that hat now.
It's become a gimmick, hasn't it? Hat and beard.
Yes.
As we get older. It is what it is. Well, there we go. But yeah, that's all of the news. I think that's I'm finally story for the ages. But as we say, we might even have Grapple Charlie on the weekend. As obviously we have got plenty coming up where that came from. We got the weekend show coming up, which is usually Charlie's our third co-host on those ones.
Yeah.
Look forward to that this week. Like I say, no Grapple live, but there will be a live draft on the FBL if you're interested in such things. You'll get the link the usual way. Subscribe to the Patreon, but it'll be free for everybody who wants to look on as we do our draft very late into the night on Thursday. Maybe about 9 p.m. is the time I've set the draft for at the minute. But yeah, you've been promoted to the Premier League, JP, so you'll be in it. Thank God I'm not the only Grapple host left standing. Although I say that, you know, it's a lot of Grapple adjacent people, obviously, Andy and Jeff and Jamesy and Chris Elliott, obviously in the chat there as well. He'll be on as always. Connor should be a good. I think it's actually saying that Connor's in the championship, isn't he? Sorry, Connor,
he is.
Rub it in.
It's a strong
Jordan,
championship.
And his fake brother, they're going to be on too.
Well, we see Tyrone make an appearance in there. The man.
I mean, that's a made-up name in it, Tyrone. Who's got a brother called Tyrone? This isn't fucking. Was it Emmerdale? There was a Tyrone. Corey.
Corey.
One of them.
Yeah, Tyrone and Fizz.
Not real,
isn't it? That feels like we're back in talking about time there. And Matty's making his return as well. He's
not to the Premier League.
No,
he's starting at the Championship. Starting at the bottom.
Yeah. And now he's here. Or he will be tomorrow. I think they're doing it on Wednesday.
That's the lesson I learned in my life. Once he gets in, mate, he's in. But yeah, that's obviously look forward to, and obviously the rest of our draft league will be on as well. Like I say, me and JP have got a special little interview coming up this week as well. But you'll hear more about that in the week too. But like I say, weekend show as well, and then probably a Monday spotlight next week. But we'll figure it all out. And of course, the AJ Styles phenomenal big state deep cut, whatever you want to call it, coming up this weekend as well. So plenty of homework for people to get in. I'll throw the link in the show notes to this one. But yeah, it's been a labour of love. So definitely check that out if you can. And like I said, get the UK Rampage show in as well from the weekend. Liam was on Cork and Form, but didn't give that enough credit. The pre-show was one of our best pre-shows we've done.
It was awesome.
Seen a couple of people say that. We had a hell of a time talking all kinds of 1991 and nostalgia and first mobile phones. I think that came up on the pre-show. You get that become a free member on YouTube if you can even listen to that. So there's a reason to but I think it's 99p. Free member on the Patreon. There's a reason to join.
And I will, by the way, be doing a JP news dump tomorrow as well, sort of catching up on some of the shit that has been happening in and around wrestling as
Just
well.
make sure you close the lid, shut the door,
yeah,
a bit afterwards, mate. Appreciate it.
Exactly, yeah. Not like the story. There's an episode of Hoarders I watched with someone who was literally storing shit in giant things. It was fucking disgusting. It really was. Shanna from Hoarders, disgusting, vile person. Honestly, needs to sort herself out. Is desperate.
I'll avoid her. Yeah. Like I'll avoid my neighbours who are probably annoyed as we have got a little bit longer tonight. But there you go. That's everything coming up. Tune in. Join us. Like I say, join in for the draft on Thursday. But great to have you back, JP. Great to be here with our patrons and our live patrons. And thank you, as always, to our kings and queen of the mountain, Corin Laughlin, Eddie Sarburns, Chris Platt, Carl Gack, Sophia Hitchcock. And of course, we've got Simon Mulvaney's show coming up this month as well. We'll probably, I think we're getting the reveal this weekend. I assume Simon's Marty's Benson versus Jerry. If he hasn't, I'll get on him. But yeah, I've got that to look forward to. And of course, thank you to our latest king, Marty Ellis, as well. But yeah, unless you got anything else to say, JP, anything else to plug?
No, nothing else to plug. So all I have to say is bye.
Good night. And Simon's not on the message. Sorry, mate. I'll get on him. We'll sort it out. Good night.
See yous.